ते मोबाईल हां पण ठीक आहे. हां म्हणजे तिथे पण दिसायला का? मी काय बोलतीये ते सगळं.
हा वेगळा आहे PPTs मध्ये. इथून होते ना रिमूव्ह.
Now, with the permission of all the dignitaries on the dais, I will begin the Faculty Development Program. Good morning, one and all. On behalf of All India Sri Shivaji Memorial Society's Polytechnic, I, Mrs. M.T. Dangat, lecturer in Electronics and Telecommunication Engineering Department, welcomes you all for 2 days Faculty Development Program on Role of OBE in Teaching and Learning, organized by IST Faculty Chapter, AISSMS, Polytechnic, Pune. It's our great privilege to welcome today's chief guest, Shri Suresh Pratap Shinde sir. Honorary Joint Secretary, AISSM Society, Pune, and Shri Ajay Uttamrao Patil Sir, Treasurer, AISSM Society, Pune. Our Principal, Professor S.K. Giram Sir, all the respected speakers and participants for today's FDP, all HODs from various departments, and faculties of AISSMS Polytechnic. AISSM Society is one of the well-established education group of Pune. Our institute always strives to provide contemporary education and hands-on experience to the students. It is always believed that education is the key success and nothing can outshine the value of education system. So in order to complement the transition and rapid growth in the technical education domain, FDPs have proven to be successful to teaching skills in higher education. As a part of this, today we are here to inaugurate Faculty Development Program on role of OBE in teaching and learning, organized by AISSMS Polytechnic under ISTE Faculty Chapter. In our tradition, before commencement of any program, there is lighting of the lamp, which signifies good and happy start to the event. Now I request all the dignitaries on the dais for Deepa Prajwalan and symbolically inaugurate the program. Thank you all. Now I request our principal sir, Shri S.K. Giram sir, to felicitate today's chief guest, Shri Suresh Pratap Shinde sir, Honorary Joint Secretary, AISSM Society, Pune. Now I request Principal Sir to felicitate today's chief guest, Shri Ajay Patil Sir, Honorary Treasurer, AISSM Society, Pune. Now I request Shri Shinde Sir to felicitate today's eminent and dynamic speaker, Dr. Mangesh Phate Sir, Professor in Mechanical Engineering Department, AISSM College of Engineering. I request Shri Ajay Patil Sir to felicitate Dr. Mosmi Vanzale, Dean Quality Assurance of AISSM IOIT Pune. I request Shinde Sir to felicitate Dr. Medha Gizre Madam, NBA Coordinator, AISSMS Polytechnic, Pune. Thank you all. Today on this occasion, I request all the dignitaries on the dais to inaugurate Institute Manual on Outcome-Based Education developed by our Institute NBA Coordinator, Dr. Medha Gizre Madam. A big round of applause should be there. Thank you all. Now, I would like to request our Principal Sir, Shri S.K. Giram Sir, to highlight features of today's FDP.
Honorable Secretary, Malajuraja Chhatrapati, Honorable Joint Secretary, Shinde Sahib, Honorable Treasurer, Ajay Patil Sir, Honorable Resource Persons, Vanjay Madam, Phate Sir, Gizre Madam, HODs and faculty members who have joined this particular program in hybrid mode. Few faculty members have joined the program in the physical mode, as well as external faculty members have joined the program in the online mode. So total more than 200 faculty members have joined this particular program, and which is nothing but great success for us, for our organizing committee rather, because tremendous response we received for this particular program. So the objective behind this particular program, role of OBE in teaching and learning, was to support the objective of the NBA as well as NAC. Because their important objective is they believe in quality technical education, and as per their belief, quality technical education is possible through this recent education system called as OBE, outcome-based education. And this particular system is more powerful as compared to our traditional education system, because in this particular system, more focus, more importance has been given to the student. So it is nothing but student-oriented education system, and by means of keeping the student at the center level, so this particular system has been designed. So at each course, what we expect from the student, what he should able to get, what he should able to learn. So that stress, this emphasis has been given so far as this OBE is concerned. Or at the end of the program, what the student will be able to do. So that particular focus has been given in this particular system. So we feel the system is, that's why important. So since it is student-centric and faculty-driven system, so I appeal, rather I request all the faculty members to apply the efforts accordingly. Since it is student-centric, so there is a less importance for the teaching. It's not that much important what we teach, but it's important what the student learn from your teaching. So that's why our focus should be in that direction. Because with your focus, with your sincere efforts, with your hard work, definitely we can support the objective of the NBA. And definitely with this, it is possible for each and every institute to maintain the quality in the education. And with this quality, any institute can acquire accreditation from the famous bodies, either it is NAC or NBA. So this OBE is very important because through the OBE, quality technical education is possible. Through the OBE, it is possible for us to develop the student to act in the society. So that is important. So that's why, so we feel this system is too important. Not only that, because of this particular system, it is possible to minimize the gap between institute as well as industry. If there is a scope to minimize the gap, definitely, because of this particular system, it is quite possible to make the student more employable. And in this particular scenario, we feel this particular objective is too important, and that is possible in this particular OBE. So OBE is too important. So I appeal all of you to take care about the OBE, to get the contents, to get the knowledge, because against the particular observation of the NBA, we have organized this 2 days program. So resource persons we have identified, and I must thank to them. They have given their valuable time for you. So I appeal again to all of you to attend each and every session sincerely. Try to solve the quiz after each session, and try to get the contents and try to inculcate those contents among your students, because finally for us student is important. If students are there, then our survival will be over here, and for that definitely we must try hard. So I must congratulate to the participants who have joined through online mode. So I must say thank to their principals who have deputed those faculties for this particular program. At the same time, I am also thankful to you for sparing your valuable time. I must say thank to our management for sponsoring this particular FDP. I must say thank to Shinde Sahib as well as Patil Sahib for sparing their valuable time. At the same time, I take the opportunity to thank organizing committee who have taken nice efforts from the previous days to make this particular program more successful. So once again, I wish you all the best for this particular 2 days FDP to conclude my speech. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your brief introduction for today's FDP. Now, I would like to request today's chief guest, Shri Shinde sir, to enlighten the participants with their guidance.
Om Namah Shivaya. On behalf of our Honorary General Secretary, Chhatrapati Maluji Raje, I am here on the dais. Really, I am seeing the good presentee here for this particular OBE mission. As Principal Sir, Giram Sir said just now about NBA and NAC, other things, the outcome base of this particular mission is not this particular accreditations. Try to understand. Yes, no doubt it is mandatory, but outcome based, what we are thinking of is, there are of three types. One, basic institution, that is the management, society. Second is you all as a faculty members. And third is the student. Actually, it comes in a reverse way. If the students are there, then the faculty members will be there. And students are there, then the society will sustain. This is actually the factual position. Then we have to concentrate on students. I said we, because the responsibility of society is also there, as well as the responsibility of faculty members who are participating here today. Actually, they have also this particular responsibility. I am saying responsibility. The traditional position, you know very well, BOS, Board of Studies, they make one particular syllabus, teacher teach that syllabus, and that's all. Their responsibility, they think that it's over. They have taken all the attendance of this particular, carefully of the subject what they are teaching, and they have completed the syllabus. They feel that their responsibility is over. Is it outcome? Just to complete the syllabus in front of the students, whether they are present or not present, you are completing your syllabus. Is it outcome? Absolutely no. Try to understand. Our outcome is a target base to make that student knowledgeable with the subjects what you are teaching, and the practical utility of that particular activities in reality. Both the things are very important. So the nature of the teaching, in particular outcome-based education, has to be changed. For every topic, I will not take any particular topic on this in this field on the dais, but for every particular topic, you must create some curriculum activities in that particular way that you can create that subject, the students can understand it in a very well and very decent way. Yes. What is society's responsibility? For that, the good labs are required. Your suggestions to have the good labs, whatever the inclusion of the lab, what is the advanced labs, that to be created, and with a practical way, because we are a technocrats, in a practical way also, most of the topics of the subjects can be taught. Dear faculty members, all students are not on equal platform. Some are good, very talented, some are not that average student, and one particular category you will find they are below average. For that, the target and implementation of outcome base will not be the same. You cannot make it. You have to make some changes. Don't just consider the examination and what they have to pass the degree or diploma. It is required the knowledge they have achieved more than the diploma certificate. It's a paper. For that you have to prepare them. I will request all the faculty members to learn the National Educational Policy 2020, which is already coming in existence. If you go on the website, you will get all the things about the knowledge. They have started interdisciplinary education system also. You know, because I don't know how much experience you have, but the good sir here sitting in front of me, Mr. Patil sir and others, HODs, they are very, very well experienced people here. They know there is a cyclic trend of taking admission. One time comes, people go for mechanical engineering. One time comes, people go for civil engineering. Now the time is of computer engineering, what we are facing. You will see all are rushing on the one side. This observation is done by the National Educational Policy also, and they have made it now interdisciplinary educational systems. I request all the faculty members to study that particular, how you can motivate. Some talent you will find he is in much, he has taken out admission to the computer side or electronic side or electrical side, but his brain is working towards mechanical side, automobile side. Who is going to find? You are not only the teachers, you are mentors of every student. Try to understand. So, the nearest to student is a teacher more than, I will say, their parents. Sometimes they are not in a position to say some good things with the parents, they cannot share it, but they can share with you if you are developing the confidence in those particular students. If you are developing the confidence in those particular students. See, I'll give you one example. I think most of you might have taken a ride of aeroplane flight. Somebody, one pilot is driving the flight. You are sitting in idle way, very nice way, enjoying the flight. You are not bothered what pilot is going to take you, where he is taking you. You know the destination only, where we want to go. But here, in this case, when you are a teacher, you are a faculty member in any engineering side, the plane you have to drive, and the wings of the plane, one wing is a past, left wing is past, right wing is a future, and the actual top of the front side of the plane is a present. You have to become all the time in a presence way and motivate, create the atmosphere for the target, what we want to achieve. You can decide your destination. You create the students in that way. You know, when their teacher of Arjun, he said, okay, you have to just shoot to the right eye of the parrot. Then he asked, what you are looking now? What you find? I can see only the right eye. That sort of target you have to make and create in the students' mind. And that is going to help you out. We don't want to go for the Eklavya. They will study there hard. What is the use of mentor? What is the use of teacher? That you have to create yourself and take that responsibility. For that, definitely, I'm once again telling you, the activities, curriculum way, what you have to go forward, that is very, very, very important for you all. Just think about the subject. You will find there are so many ways to explain it to the students. Passing out from in the examination is not an outcome. I'm once again telling you. What he has adopted the knowledge, that is the outcome. And on that particular way, I request you all to work on that particular direction. Thank you very much. Om Namah Shivaya.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable guidance on outcome-based education in higher technical education system and how to implement it. Thank you, sir. Before starting FDP, I would like to thank all honorable chief guest, our principal, speakers, participants, all HODs and staff of AISSMS Polytechnic. I like to express our sincere thanks to the management of AISSMS Society for always giving us the opportunity to organize such events. I would like to thank Shri Suresh Pratap Shinde sir, Honorary Joint Secretary, AISSMS Society, Pune, for being chief guest for 2 days FDP and his motivational words. I would like to thank Shri Ajay Uttamrao Patil sir, Treasurer, AISSMS Society, for being today's chief guest. My sincere thanks to our principal, Professor S.K. Giram sir, for motivating us to organize such a great event. I would like to thank all speakers, Dr. Mangesh Pate sir, Dr. Mosmi Vanjale madam, and Dr. Medha Gizre madam. I also extend my gratitude towards ISTE faculty chapter of AISSMS Polytechnic for organizing such wonderful event. I also extend my gratitude towards all the participants for their valuable participation. Also express my sincere thanks to one and all who are directly and indirectly involved in making this program successful. With the permission of all the dignitaries, I conclude inauguration of 2 days FDP. We will start next session within 5 minutes. We will start next session. It's give me immense pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Dr. Mangesh Pate sir, Professor in Mechanical Engineering Department, AISSMS College of Engineering. He has over 20 years teaching experience and 3 years industrial experience. Sir is NBA and NAC coordinator of AISSMS College of Engineering. He has published 24 papers and 54 journals internationally and nationally. Sir has published 1 national level book and 5 international level books. Sir has many copyrights and patents on his name. He has organized many workshops. Sir is gold medalist of MTech and he has received AISSMS Excellence Award by AISSMS Society in 2019. Sir is NIRF Nodal Officer, ARIIA Nodal Officer, AISTE CII Nodal Officer. He is ME Design Coordinator, Research and Development Coordinator, National Level Robotics Event Coordinator, Robotics Club in charge, Project Coordinator, National Level Technical Event Coordinator, and ME Admission in charge of AISSMS College of Engineering. Now I request Sir to start next session.
Good afternoon. I'm audible? Okay. It's my pleasure to be here for giving this talk on outcome-based education. You see, there are two terminology associated with the accreditation process. The task given to me is the intro about what is the OBE, that is outcome-based education. I'm audible? Okay. So let me brief what is the output or outcome of my presentation. At the end of session, you will be able to know what is the importance of NBA. NBA is not only a certificate, but there are so many benefits from institute, program or student point of view. The second outcome is what is actually OBE, that is outcome-based education. What is the journey between OBE to OBA, that is how to start OBE, what is the basic principles of OBE and how it is linked with accreditation process. Okay. Then as a teacher, how I implement my OBE in my regular teaching learning, because that is the most crucial part of accreditation, right? Then how to optimize it, because OBE, implementation of OBE and each and everything, it takes, this is basically a drawback of outcome-based education. It needs so many documentation. So we have to restrict ourselves as an engineer. Optimization of a process is required. So I'm trying to optimize it. What is the role of stakeholders in OBE? So these are the outcomes of my presentation. Okay. I'm very happy if the session is interactive. Put it. First point is, what is the need of accreditation? Can you tell me what is the need of accreditation? What is the need of accreditation? Why this accreditation is required? See, it is not only the certificate given to a particular program, right? But there are so many benefits. I'm talking about students' point of view as well as a program point of view or institute point of view. The first thing is it validates the quality, right? NBA accredited program and without accreditation program, that indicates means NBA certificate is a measure of quality. Okay. Second thing is it creates a trust in the institution. Means stakeholders believes something is there. That is a uniqueness. Okay. Third point is it not only accredited, but after implementing of accreditation process or OBE, it improves the students' quality in three aspects. That is the knowledge, skill and attitude. Second important thing is SWOT analysis. You analyze yourself, what is, it's not only for program, it also at course level. What is our strength, weaknesses, opportunity, threats. Okay. In short, it is a kind of recognition which indicates that the program or institutes fulfill certain standards. It facilitates the continuous improvement process, that is continuous quality improvement. Then improve the staff morale or overall development of faculty and recognize the achievement and innovation. These are some importance of accreditation. Now let me, before proceeding to outcome-based education, let me brief what is, why there is a need of accreditation and how it is linked with the students' overall development. See, you might have gone through this word of Washington Accord, right? Because NBA start with this word, WA, okay? This Washington Accord is a recognition, it's a body which recognizes the equivalence of particular teaching learning process. The set 12 POs, that is program outcomes, that indicates the equivalence of all graduate students. It recommended that graduate from a particular accredited program by any of the signatory body be recognized by the other body as having meet the academic requirement for the entry. See, I'm telling you a very simple example. If you look at the syllabus, now you are belonging to diploma, so syllabus is uniform, but university point of view, syllabus from SPPU is different than syllabus from Shivaji University is different. Content-wise, subject-wise, totally syllabus is different. So equivalence, how to judge whether the distinction from SPPU is equivalent to distinction from other universities? It is very difficult to judge. So Washington Accord sets some standard parameters where we will get some equivalent amongst the students. Now, as far as India is concerned, in 1994, this National Board of Accreditation was established under Section 10B, and at that time it was a part of AISSMS. This complete control of AISSMS is there. In 2010, January, it is autonomous, but still it's not a fully autonomy. But from 2013, administratively and financially, it is a completely independent body. And nowadays, it is a completely independent. It's fully autonomy is there. No control from UGC and AICT. Some signatory bodies are, these are the list of some countries who is a part of Washington Accord. I think 18 to 20 countries are there who is a part of this Washington Accord. Okay? Now come to what is output and what is outcome. Okay? So nowadays, see, the previous version of NBA is output-based education. Now it is converted to outcome-based education. NBA decide, that is Washington Accord decide POs, program outcomes, from 1 to 12. If you analyze it, through our teaching and learning process, PO1, PO2, I think you might have known the PO1, what is PO1, PO2, PO3, PO4, right? So through our regular teaching and learning, we try to address PO1 to PO5. We called it as low order POs. Agree? Because no extra effort is required to address or to attend this particular PO, PO1 to PO5. Agree? Most complex thing is that the complex word is there. Right? If you read this PO statement carefully, complex problem is there. But as far as our academy is concerned, we are converting this complex into a regular problem. Right? This is not a regular problem. Complex problem is something different, which is application based. But still we compromise this with the complex problem. Right? And we are trying to implement or trying to map this PO1 to PO5 to our teaching learning. Right? PO5 is advanced tool. We are trying to implement it or we are trying to correlate it with our regular practicals. Okay? But as far as PO6 to PO12 are concerned, this is a higher order PO, which is very difficult to attain in our regular, through regular practice. That is regular teaching and learning. So some extra effort is required. Right? What is output? Output is the action that contributes to achievement of outcome. Right? For example, score in unit test. That is my output. It doesn't mean it fulfills the outcomes. Outcome is different. If your result is 100%, that is your output is good. But it doesn't mean the outcome is good. Outcome is different. So there are three sections of outcomes: at course level, we define this as a course outcomes. Got it? Course outcomes mean at course level. Course means it is your subject. At program level, PO or PSO. It is program outcomes. And after 5 to 4 years, it is PEO, program educational objectives. So these three sets are defined. And our target is not to reach, means output is not our target is the outcome. How to reach or how to attain that particular levels. So this is what the output is, an activity, it is not the final destination. But if you look at the outcomes, it is the actual added value in terms of knowledge, skill and attitude. Okay? So I think you understood what is the difference between output and outcome. Is this clear? So if any doubt, please ask me. Now, come to the heart of our today's session, that is what is OBE. Okay. Now what do you think? What is OBE, outcome-based education? Anyone from audience? What do you mean by OBE? सगळे आपणच आहोत. सगळे आपली फॅमिली आहे, तुम्ही विचारा प्रश्न. See, because in the most of NBA, if you read chairman report, page number 11, point number 4. Page number 11, point number 4. Specially it is mentioned the awareness of OBE. And 100% activity is there, but understanding of OBE is, I don't think there is a awareness. We have so many activities in our institute or our program, but it is very difficult to link it with the OBE. So what is your concept of OBE? Huh? So yes, what do you mean by OBE? Suppose I want to implement this in your unit test, for example. See, OBE is a concept. You have to implement it in your teaching and learning. For example, if I want to implement OBE in your regular unit test, how OBE is implemented? It's a very simple example. What is OBE? OBE is a process that involves the restructuring of curriculum, assessment method and reporting practices. That is important in education to reflect the achievement of high order learning and mastery rather than the course credit. That mastery word is very important. That course credit means what? It is a part of output, it's not outcome. So let me brief about how this OBEs come into picture. William Spady is known as father of OBE. He designed the OBE thoughts and principles. In India, adoption of OBE was a result of Washington Accord, and NBA now is the apex body for monitoring the quality of engineering education. NBA has made it mandatory to apply OBE in our engineering education. This is what the principle of OBE is. OBE is a simple principle, work on 4 basic pillars: plan, do, check and act. Got it? It's very simple. See, understanding of OBE is very easy, but implementation is very difficult task. Right? So, this principle if you apply in your regular teaching and learning, then you will get a OBE based accreditation. So planning, if for example my target is just I want to conduct one test, this is my simple activity in teaching and learning, right? So planning of test, preparation of question paper, Bloom taxonomy, then CO framing, right? Matching of action verbs, All these activities come into picture. That is a part of planning. Do. Take some efforts. Execute the process. Check. Check the result. And finally, act. Act means what? You have to take the decision. Whether our target is satisfied. I am talking about CO. I am not talking about the result. I am talking about the outcomes at course level. If you try to link this test with CO number 1, then whether CO1 is satisfied, you have already decided. You have already decided the levels. There is no standard route to decide the target. There is no standard route to decide the level. It is depend on course teacher. That is the subject teacher. This fully freedom is given to the course teacher, whether the target is what is my level 1, what is my level 2, and what is my level 3. Got it? So you have to judge whether through test 1, that is my assessment tool, that is my weapon. Right? So whether I am satisfying my target or not. If not, then what to do? If yes, what to do? That is come under step number 4. If that output is not as far as our target level, then you have to take some corrective measures. Some effort is required. If target is okay, you satisfied the target, then what is the next step? You have to increase our target level. So that is the only simple concept of OBE. Plan, do, check, and act. Okay? So this is the OBE. It defines what is good. But how determines how good? That is the journey of OBE. So outcomes are the heart of accreditation process. Learning outcomes have come to play a crucial role. Learning outcomes means CO, PO, and POs. This is the methodology, or these are, OBE is not only for accreditation, but it is for the continuous improvement of quality improvement. Two pillars are very important. One is your teaching and learning and assessment. Effective assessment and effective teaching learning. These two things are very important in OBE. Now you understood, it's a very simple principle. OBE is very easy. Plan, do, check, and act. Got it? You understood the result. If I want to design some tests, planning of tests, execution, assessment, and action. It's very simple OBE. But still, how we are going to implement at course level, at program level, and at institute level. What is OBE-based accreditation? So, OBE-based accreditation is in the 3 layers or 4 layer section. What is the bottom of this? See, each and everything, if you define the attainment level of program or PO1, so what is the basic formula? What is the basic formula of PO attainment? It is something that is attainment of course, agree? CO attainment multiplied by mapping strength divided by 3, because we are judging it on 3 levels. Na? So the maximum target is 3. So what is the basic formula of attainment? It is attainment of course at program level. It is from FE to final year, right? Attainment of course multiplied by mapping strength. What do you mean by mapping strength? And then divided by 3. That gives you the PO attainment. What do you mean by mapping strength? Can you tell me? Huh? Mapping, yeah. Yes. So what do you mean by strength of this one? How you judge or how you fill that particular mapping table, that is called as a code articulation matrix. See, in attainment process or in NBA, that understanding of course articulation matrix is very important, because only through that particular table we calculate the attainment. So that understanding of mapping is very difficult. Reflection of COPO mapping in your academic planner is very important, right? So basically it starts with your assessment tool, OBE. That is what? Outcome based assessment. What do you mean by this term, OBE? Outcome-based assessment means what? Whatever the tool you apply, means test, assignment, term work, CAS, oral, end semester exam, university exam, whatever. It is supposed to be linked with your CO, course outcome. Got it? That is outcome-based assessment. Okay? Second thing is outcome-based teaching and learning. Through our teaching and learning, it is very difficult to address all 12 POs. So you have to take some corrective measures. Some additional effort is required through content behind the syllabus. Got it? Some guest lectures, workshop, expert talk, you have to plan. But that is a part of our teaching learning planning. Right? So second layer is outcome-based teaching and learning. Got it? Third phase is outcome-based curriculum. So have you heard the word that is curriculum gap is there in Criteria 2? How do you identify the curriculum gap? Can you tell me? What is the basic behind this curriculum gap? कशी काढले curriculum gap? आता NBA झालं ना? So how you calculate this curriculum gap? What is the significance of that particular curriculum gap? काहीतरी प्रोसेस लावली असेल ना? कोणी असेल ना Criteria 2 in charge? Huh? Prerequisites. कुठले? That is for weak and strong learner, advanced learner. Na? Prerequisites is not the measure of course, that is curriculum gap. Curriculum, no. As far as NBA, this is for the betterment of student. But if I am looking at the NBA, see, if you map the subject, mapping strength is you map COPO, then find out the overall attainment of that overall mapping. I'm not talking about attainment. Attainment is your efforts. Mapping is different. Right? Mapping is the restriction of your course with PO. So if you observe that, out of 12 PO, means you analyze it. See, it is a journey of all 4 years or 3 years. If it is a diploma, it's a 3-year journey. It doesn't mean in 1 year you will get all POs. No. It is a journey of 4 years or 3 years, right from first year to final year. So you assign that particular CO with PO, prepare course-wise course articulation matrix, take the average of that, and you observe that some POs are not highly addressed. That means, for example, PO 12, lifelong learning, very difficult to address through the regular teaching and learning. Sustainability, environment, communication, ethics. I don't know the syllabus of diploma, but it is very difficult to address through regular teaching and learning. So some effort is required. That is what, see, this is a restriction from our university or that is DT. So you have to take some efforts. That gap is called as a curriculum gap. That is the limitation of your syllabus. Got it? That is what the curriculum gap is. So there are so many things, means there are so many alternatives through PU. This is the one major parameter through which we address curriculum gap. Second thing is industrial expectation. Some competitive examinations also there because we address PU. PU असतं ना, after 4 to 5 years of graduation. So competitive exam is also there. So there are so many parameters on which this curriculum gap is supposed to be set. And then implementation of this particular parameter in your teaching learning is what the OBE based curriculum is. You have to design this curriculum along with your DTE regular structure. Then finally, if you implement this, you have to implement it at a program level. What is the outcome at program level at the end of graduation? So these are the 4 steps of effective implementation of OBE in our regular teaching and learning. I hope you understood the basics. Okay. Now, at the institute level or at the program level, this is the basic structure of OBE. It starts with the feedback. Got it? It starts with the feedback from stakeholders. So this stakeholder feedback is very important. Our institute mission and vision is already fixed, right? So deciding the mission, see, vision is a target and mission is the steps to reach that particular target. So vision, missions are in line with vision. PO is also in map with our mission statements. Then CO. You have to define a strong CO at course level. Then PO is already defined by NBA. There are 12 POs, but at a program level, we have to define some PSO, program specific outcomes. PSO is address your strength of program. It is not supposed to be, see, what is the difference between PO and PSO? If PSO is linked with PO, for example, PSO, the keyword is lifelong learning. Is it PSO? Or advanced truth, sustainable development, managerial skill, is it a PSO? All these things are addressed in PO. PSO is your uniqueness, which is not supposed to be addressed in PO. What is the simple logic? PO, already there are 12 POs. PSO is your uniqueness, which is not addressed in PO. But if you read, just write down PSO in the Google, you will get so many PSOs. Just check, so many PSOs are linked with PO. Already we define POs, NBA has already defined 12 POs, then what is the need of that particular PSO? If it is addressing to that particular PO. PO is your uniqueness. Right? So that is the difference between PO and PSO. PO is at the end of 4 and 5 years. It is alumni targeting, target alumni. Right? So after getting this particular outcomes, deciding the outcomes of our education system, that is the teaching, learning and our program, then the next thing is course planning. See, I am implementing my OBE principle here. Plan, do, check and act. To just check it. Plan, do, check and act. First phase is planning phase. Finalizing the CO is my planning phase. Second thing is course planning and delivery. You have to change your course or add some activities in your plan so that you have a strong course content. Then after that, the next thing is plan, do, check, assessment. Assessment at course level, that is you call it as at criteria number 3, you will get attainment at course level. Then calculate the attainment at program level, PO attainment or PO assessment, and then at institute level. Plan, do, check and act. If you are satisfied with your attainment level, then yes, you increase the target, right? If not, then you have to take some corrective actions. That is the implementation of overall OBE at your institute or program level. Plan, do, check and act. Got it? This is the framework at our institute level or program level. Got it? If you have any query, please. Okay? Good, sir. Okay. Next. Now, strong support system is required for monitoring, right? It's a bottom to top approach. These are the pillars of effective implementation of OBE at our institute level. It starts with you, that is course coordinator, subject teacher. Second, your leader, who is domain expert. See, some qualities are required. If you have a model coordinator, you should know what is Bloom taxonomy. Okay? What are the different action verbs and how to frame the effective course outcome, CO. And as the engineering students, it is application based. Remembering is suitable for art and commerce. Understanding, at least apply. Getting something and apply in a similar situation, that is what apply is. So that knowledge is required at module coordinator. Then program coordinator means your head of department. You should know each and everything related with OBE. You have a strong PAC committee, Program Assessment Committee. See, it is a mandatory. While submitting the pre-qualifier, it is mentioned in that you have a strong PAC committee there. So PAC role is very important in OBE because it's a continuous monitoring system to PAC. Then you have a strong DAB, Department Advisory Board. If you want to add something in your curriculum, you have to take the approval from DAB. And finally, IQAC is very strong. IQAC is very strong. If your IQAC is strong, then you will get a effective OBE. Reverse way. First, your IQAC is well matured in terms of OBE. Then, Department Advisory Board is only for approval point of view. And third one is a PAC. These two are the major pillars in effective implementation of OBE at program or institute level. Got it? Now some key terms are related with accreditation, that is accreditation criteria. I am not going to discuss what are the criteria of NBA because that is not a task assigned to me. I want to clarify how OBE is implemented. Okay? So program educational objective, PEO is there. Course outcome, CO. We define CO as a course outcome. Program outcomes, assessment and evaluation. The two terms are very important. See, what is PO? PO are the broad statement that describe the career and professional accomplishment in 4 to 5 years after graduation. Right? But PO and PSO, these are during the time of graduation. POs are the statement that describe what the students graduating from engineering program should be able to do at the time of graduation. And PSO are the statement that describe the graduate of specific engineering. What is your uniqueness during the time of graduation? And course outcomes are the statement that describe what the students will be able to do at the end of particular course, that is your subject. So these are 4 outcomes. CO at course level, PO at program level, PSO is your uniqueness. See, once more I have to repeat, PSO should not link with PO. PO is already defined by NBA. Then PEO for the future of our product, right? Now, how to make the judgment? Some criteria are given in NBA. Our task is only show the evidence and then dedicated by the accreditation is the criteria and evidence of record. The main limitation of OBE or drawbacks, we can say, it requires so many documentation. Plan, do, check, act. So that is what the drawback of OBE is. We define NBA 12 POs, that is engineering knowledge, problem analysis, design and development of solution, then conduct the investigation and model to uses. This is called as low order POs because these POs are directly addressed to regular teaching and learning. No additional effort is required, but proper planning is required. Got it? Then engineering and society, environmental and sustainability, ethics, individual and teamwork, communication, project management and finance and lifelong learning. It is very difficult to address to regular teaching and learning. So additional effort or additional activities are required to address this PO. Okay? This is the distribution of activities. See, just I have discussed, if PO1 to PO5 is to our regular teaching and learning, but PO6 to PO12, we need some additional efforts. I have mentioned some activities there. Some workshop is required, some expert talk is required, other student-centric methods are there, then visits, industrial visits, some of the activities I have mentioned here, which is required to address at the program level. All PO is supposed to be addressed through only course. Keep in mind, if you find out the PO attainment, this PO attainment is only through course. So you have to link this with the course, means subject. कुठल्या ना कुठल्या सब्जेक्टला लिंक करावंच लागेल, otherwise तो कुठंच येणार नाही. For example, industrial physics, you have to link it with the course. And then, not only linking, you have proper assessment mechanism. Right? There is a confusion between feedback and impact. Right? Is it same, or there is a difference between feedback and impact? For example, if I have a doubt in some machine design problem, okay, and I contact some person who is an expert in design, and he solved my difficulty. So can you tell me what is the feedback here and what is the impact? If you read the SAR of NBA, these two terms are confusing in criteria number 2. What is the impact and what is the feedback? Because the two terms are different. But in the most of the SAR, they link feedback and impact as a single term. Feedback is different. Impact is different. What do you mean by impact? Impact is a knowledge gain through this particular activity. Means my PO. Got it? PO. Knowledge gain. And feedback is what I feel about particular facility. Got it? Industrial visit. कशी वाटली? That is the feedback. पण काय मिळालं? That is the impact. So that is the difference between impact and feedback. That's why if you read 2.2.4, 2.2.5, impact is different, feedback is different. Initiatives on industrial interaction. असं आहे कुठेतरी. So that point is, it's a feedback. Is it, means student, are the student is satisfied? Yes, no. Impact is different. So if you have a strong industry-institute interaction, try to define or try to formulate one template for impact analysis which is addressed into higher order PO. Got it? Rubrics बनवायचे and directly link with higher order PO which is not supposed to be addressed through our regular teaching and learning. That is the task of model officer, that is model coordinator or PAC. Rule of criteria number 2 is very important because the activity involved in criteria number 2 is directly addressed to PO. PO criteria 2 चे जे इंचार्ज आहेत त्यांनी टेन्शन घ्यायची गरज नाही आहे. पुढे मी तुमच्यासोबत माणसं देतो अजून बघा आणि त्यांनी काय काय करायचं तेही सांगतो. म्हणजे criteria 2 चं काही टेन्शन घ्यायची गरज नाही. It is only, but as far as criteria number 2 is concerned, it is directly linked with PO. Each and every activity involved is directly linked with PO. OBE is not mean that DTE has designed a syllabus. First thing, what is our regular practice? Okay, at the start of semester, subject choice. Okay, HOD assign the subject. Okay, then you design your plan, ते पण DTEनंच दिलं आहे, and try to execute. मग आम्ही टेस्ट घेतो, बरोबर? Test, practical, oral, exam, okay, done. Then you will get the result. पुढे काय? आम्ही अटेनमेंट काढतो. You calculate the attainment. Okay, then what? इथं थांबतो. That is not OBE, that is output. You have a strong monitoring system. At the end, if you read this particular NBA process, at the end of OBE starts with at the end of activity. आणि आपण तिथंच थांबतो. पण OBE तिथूनच सुरू होतो. That is the difference. Okay? Each and everything is supposed to be analyzed at the end of your course, at the end of your program. Got it? And if your attainment of PO indicates that the job is well done. Yes, my target is no standard rule to decide the target. But logically, if PO1 to PO5 is addressed through my regular activity without some extra efforts, so obviously its target is high. Agree? असायला पाहिजे की नाही? If PO1 to PO5 is addressed through my regular teaching and learning, and my teaching learning is very strong, means generally while deciding the target, my PO1 to PO5 target is high, means for example 60%, 70% of 1.6, 1.8 is a standard target. As compared to that, PO6 to PO12 is somewhat low, is 40-50%, 1.2 to 1.5, because it is not directly addressed to our regular teaching and learning. Agree? What's about PSO? What's about PSO target? Whether it is low, moderate or high? कोणी पण सांगा. आपलं सगळं आपण तुम्ही बोललात तर प्रश्नाची उत्तरे मिळतील. Because you have a remark of OBE awareness. What's about PSO target setting? What is a reasonable target of PSO? Low, moderate or high? मार्कर नाही कटणार आहे. तुम्ही बोललात तर मी उत्तर देतो. What is your opinion? What is the target, reasonable target for PSO? Is it 40%? Is it 50%? 60%? or what? आई तो बोला लागेल ना. हाँ? PSO, Program Specific Outcomes. काही पण सांगा मला तुम्ही की 3 scale is maximum. So what is the reasonable target? 40% is 1.2, 50% is 1.5, okay? 60% 1.8. That's सांगा तुम्ही. Moderate why? Why PSO target is moderate? Who defines PSO? Your program. This is your uniqueness, huh? Target is very high. PO is defined by other team, but PSO is defined by you. So target is high as compared to PO1 to PO12, right? तुम्हाला कोणी बंधन नव्हतं लिहिलेलं आहे. PSO ला बंधन नाही आहे फॉर्मेशनचं. तुम्ही ब्लँक जरी सोडले PSO, no problem. NBA expect only PO1 to PO12. You define PSO for indicating your uniqueness. What is your strength? So that is high, na? But problem is that we define PSO by our own, and we are trying to link the various activity to address to that particular PO, which is not satisfied. So if you compare logically, target of PO1 to PO5 is 50-60% is okay, means 1.5, 1.6 is good. PO6 to PO12, 1.4, 1.2, 1.5 is good, but at PSO it is more than 60% or 50 to 60 range, or at least it is supposed to be equal to that PO1 to PO5, because we are addressing PSO through our regular activities or some extra activities. Got it? Now, assessment is different, evaluation is different. Assessment, it is one or more process that identify, collect and prepare the data to evaluate the achievement of program outcomes. That is what assessment is. And what is evaluation? Evaluation determines the extent to which POs and POs are being achieved. It is not assessment. It is the extent of assessment, achievement, right? That is the difference between, because if you read particular guidelines, this evaluation assessment is given. So in some parameters, assessment is given. In some of the parameters, this evaluation term is there. So these two terms are different. Okay. Now, madam, वेळ झाला की सांगा मला बरं. 1:30 आहे ना? ओके. 1:30 आतमध्ये संपवतो, काही प्रॉब्लेम नाही. तुम्ही जायचं तयार केलं आहे ना? ओके. Effective implementation of OBE in engineering institute. Now these are some criteria and marks assigned. So vision, mission. But that is for engineering. That is for engineering. Okay. PO 8, 9, 10, 9. Okay, ठीक. That is for engineering. 8, 9, 10 में सांगतो पुढे. Okay, ठीक है. Okay, no problem. So this is for engineering assessment. Okay. This is my own OBE implementation. I have designed this for my own institute, and I am trying to implement this at institute level. See, it start with your, see I have, because looking at the scenario, I am trying to implement at two levels. One is at course level and one is at program level. So initially it start with your assessment tool. You have a strong mechanism of assessment through module coordinator. You try to draft the paper, then get it approval from module coordinator, and then finally implement. That is what the check OBE at assessment level is. Okay, and this is, I think, it's a regular practice, how to draft the paper, unit test paper, assignment, question paper, all those things. So you have design it, forward to the module coordinator, he check whether it is mapped with CON according to Bloom taxonomy or not, distribution is good or not, and then you have to implement it for the effective implementation. So basically you have two tools, internal assessment tool and external assessment tool. Internal assessment tool means what? It is your unit test assignment. And what is external? University examination or DT examination. Generally, there is no standard rule, but the weightage of external is very high as compared to the internal one. 28 is good. Then that term gives you CO direct attainment, right? If you calculate, it gives you the CO direct attainment. And again, one indirect tool is there, that is called as the course end survey. That is a very important parameter. Course end survey is designed to address all CO at the end of course. It is directly addressed to CO. Do not confuse between teaching learning feedback, that faculty feedback is different, and course end survey is different. Course end survey is addressed to CO only. Right? This gives you the indirect attainment, and internal and external tool gives you the direct attainment. If you link these two, you will get the overall attainment at course level. Got it? Now here, how you implement the OBE? If for my single course, if TCO is a target level, you define target, suppose 1.5. See, deciding target for all CO 1 to 6, that is 1.5 is common. If you want to define different level, because the unit is different, I want to define target 1.5 for unit number 1, that is CO1, then CO2 1.6, that is also okay, not problem. So define the target, that TCO is called as the target you define for particular CO, and ACO is called attainment. At the end of course, you have to compare these two. If my target is greater than my attainment, means what? Your gap is positive, right? What is gap? Gap is target minus attainment. So your gap is positive, then you have to take some extra efforts in the next session, means next year. And if it is negative, means if your target is less than attainment, your attainment is high, then you have to increase the target. If you want to keep same target, then proper justification is required. Okay? So that is checkpoint of OBE at individual course level. Okay? I want to implement it at course level. Then, after getting the complete CO attainment of FE semester 1 to TE semester or final year subject, you will get all attainment, right? That is called as PO direct attainment at the end of program. It is a average or addition of all CO, direct CO, overall attainment of CO. Okay? And there is, the weightage is 80% or 70. Then additional indirect attainment is also there. We require exit survey, that is graduate exit survey, alumni survey, employer survey, industrial survey, parent survey. Got it? This is addressed to PO and PSO. While drafting the feedback, that is a course and surveys, these are addressed into PO and PSO, not it's a facility. That is important. And then finally we will get the overall attainment of particular PO at the end of program. Again you have to check, you decide the target, compare the attainment of PO. If it is not, you have to implement certain activities for particular PO, and if it is attained, then you have to increase the particular target. That is the OBE checkpoint number 2. So these are the 2 checkpoints, how the OBE is implemented effectively at the program level. Got it? Now, implementation of OBE to improve the quality of assessment tool. How does OBE is implemented to improve the quality of assessment tool? The first thing required is knowledge of Bloom taxonomy, strength of CO. How to decide the strength of CO? There are 4 phases of CO statement. So I think in the next session, the speaker will be discuss how the CO is framing, how you check the statement of CO. Then awareness about code articulation matrix. See, this is the heart of NBA. How to prepare the course articulation matrix at course level and understanding of COPO mapping is really very important. Decision regarding CO target setting and level of attainment with the justification. Then decision regarding assessment tool and method. Effective implementation of teaching plan and action plan. This is what the cognitive levels and abilities. At remembering, these are some of the activities or ability, and some related action verbs are given. At least while defining or while drafting our assessment tool, at least use this particular table so that CO is supposed to be addressed with particular action verb. Okay? That means you have to check our assessment tool is effective or not. Right? If my assessment tool, if my CO is addressing to understanding level, level number 2, and assessment tool is application based, numericals. Understanding means what? It's a theoretical. Remembering means what? It's a theoretical. Apply means it's a numerical base. That is not a proper or effective assessment tool. As far as CO is concerned, see, apply, if your CO is apply base, 3rd level, then it is supposed to be addressed to that particular, the action verb reflects the apply, cognitive level, right? So that is what the Bloom taxonomy is and action verb is. Try to implement this action verb in your regular assessment tools, okay? That is assignment, test. Not, see, even it is very, it is not restricted to cognitive level, but it is also restricted to knowledge level is different. But it, see, remembering, understanding, what do you mean by remembering? Remembering means what? Recalling. Understanding means what? Take some good information from that knowledge. Then apply means what? Apply to the similar situation. And analyze means what? Explore. Evaluate, critically analyze and take a proper decision. and create. You have to create something through our knowledge. This is the higher level of cognitive level. But it is also divided into 4 types, that is called as knowledge level, factual knowledge level, conceptual knowledge level, procedure knowledge level, and metacognitive level. So each cognitive level is divided into 4 types, that is called as a knowledge level. But we have restricted ourselves to our only 6 levels, that is cognitive levels. It is very difficult to maintain that particular, it requires so many understandings and knowledge of Bloom taxonomy. Now, this is what NBA structure is. I am talking about engineering. So if you look at your criteria number 2 and 1, here gap identification is very important. You properly map it, take the industrial feedback and all stakeholder feedbacks, and identify the curriculum gap through the particular feedback. Then try to implement it in your design curriculum, that is your criteria number 2. Get it approval from criteria 1, that is the DAB and all these things. And try to implement it in your curriculum, that is criteria number 2, and assess it in your criteria number 3. After attainment, you have to check and take the decision in criteria number 7. So it is only restricted to OBE if you implement it in criteria number 2, criteria number 3, and criteria number 7. That is the optimistic way of getting OBE, that is outcome-based accreditation. See, remaining parameters, that is criteria number 4 is student, faculty, infrastructure. Then in engineering it is first year academics, student support system, and institute support system. These are all the support required to strengthen our teaching and learning process. Right? This is my own concept of 3x4 principles. I have designed it for my understanding point of view. So criteria number 2, this OBE is restricted at a private engineering institute to that particular 3x4 means what? 3 criteria and 4 levels. Criteria number 2 is for designing or modification of curriculum or planning. Then criteria number 3 is for assessment. Criteria number 7 is for continuous improvement. And then all this assessment is at, OBE implementation is at assessment 2, course level assessment, program level assessment, and finally its curriculum. So this is the journey of OBE, and it's an optimistic way of OBE implementation in the engineering institute. For assessment tool, this is the simple OBE mechanism. Course coordinator, he has formulated CO, select the assessment tool, COPO mapping at course level, means subject level, then decide the course delivery methods, course planning, and target setting. After that, all the data is supposed to be forwarded to the module coordinator, who is the expert of that domain, and then some corrective measures are supposed to be taken, whether there is some correction or not, and then it sent to that particular course level for the implementation. Plan, do, check, and act. That is the OBE at course assessment level. That mechanism is supposed to be there at your program. Means one module coordinator is there, and this mechanism is known as OBE at assessment tool. Right? Now second thing is OBE at course level. Again same, course-wise attainment, you set the target, map it, delivery details, attainment calculation, gap calculation, analysis of course and survey is very important. It is not for the numbers. You understood what is the deficiency of that particular means course delivery. Okay? Then again forward to module coordinator, because module coordinator is an expert of that particular domain who understood the terminology of Bloom taxonomy, all cognitive levels, and your subject knowledge. Then again same mechanism is there, plan, do, check, and act. This is the OBE implementation at individual course level. Implementation of OBE at curriculum level for planning and development. It is used for bridging the curriculum gap and to meet the PO and PSO. Adoption of new policies, industrial requirement, employer feedbacks and competitive examination. It is for betterment of students, so that your product will be acceptable, right, at global level. This is OBE at how it is implemented at curriculum planning. Same curriculum gap you identified. It is forward to PAC. You have a strong program assessment committee. PAC is very important in NBA, right? Again, PAC decide the action plan. It is forwarded to IQAC and it is approved by DAP. That is the methodology, right? If you want to change something or you want to add something in your curriculum, right? Then this is the mechanism. You decide it at nodal course level, forward to through model coordinator. It is forwarded to PAC. Then it is forwarded to IQAC, that is institute level, and it is supposed to be approved by DAP. That is the methodology how this OBE is implemented at curriculum level. Got it? If you have any query, please ask. That is the final how OBE is implemented at program level. PO attainment you calculate at program at the end of all 3 years or 4 years of program. You take the stakeholder feedback, that is exit survey, alumni survey, employer, parents and all these survey. And then find out whatever the attainment is there, you forward it to IQAC first. Because at the end of program, it is behind our program. You have to decide, forward it to IQAC at institute level, means at the head of the institute. And then some modification if you require in the program, then it is supposed to be approved by DAP, Department Advisory Board. These two teams are very important. Program, PAC committee and DAP committee. This is very important. The role of these two teams are very important in OBE. Got it? So if you read it, I am trying to implement it at each and every level. Plan, do, check, act principle is at assessment tool. Plan, do, check, act at course assessment, at curriculum assessment, at program assessment. And if you want to implement it at institute level, then focus on PO. Map all PO with POs and then take, apply OBE at PO, that is at institute level. Lab structure is very, utilization of lab is the really important issue, because how the lab is utilized. This is the section where we have to address so many POs. Advanced tool, POA, all these things. So how you assess that particular lab and how you engage, that is utilization of lab is very important. Now, what is course articulation matrix? Course articulation matrix shows the educational relationship, that is the level of learning achievement between course outcomes and program outcomes. Okay? It is the linking between your CO and PO. Got it? Creating the link between course outcomes and program outcomes for each lesson and assessment is called as COPO mapping. What is course articulation matrix? In the simple word, it is COPO mapping. Okay? In short, it allows the teacher to create a visual map of a program. It also used to explore how students are meeting the program level outcomes at the course level. It focuses on student learning. Okay? So COPO mapping should be reflected in course content and assessment. That is important. You observe your COPO mapping and try to link with your course content. Okay? These are our POs. I have already discussed this thing. Now this is my course articulation matrix. It is very difficult to address all POs through one subject. एका सब्जेक्ट मधून सगळे PO शक्य नाही. तसं अशक्य काहीच नाही. पण it is very difficult. Okay? Now what is the significance of 1, 2 and 3? आता याच्यावर प्रश्न विचारतील तर हा वीक पॉइंट आहे बरं का. Okay. So what is the significance of this What is PO8? I think it is ethics. Ethics. So suppose CO3 is, if you intersect this row, CO3 and PO8 column, it intersects at 2. So justification is required. Blank problem nahi. But if you link this CO3 intersection of these three, that is row and this column, keyword of PO8 is ethics. And suppose CO3 is, for example, in engineering, keyword is, for example, gears. Okay, the thought of unit number 3, if you define this CO according to unit, so it is related with some design. So how you correlate these two terms? That is a simple concept of force articulation matrix. Then PO10 is communication. CO3 is a design, the thought keyword is design, and PO10 keyword is communication. How you link these two? Not only linking, but how you address through your assessment tool. That is important. Got it? म्हणजे मला त्याचं उत्तर पाहिजे युनिट 3 मध्ये कम्युनिकेशन तुम्ही कसं असेस करता, दॅट इज द रिफ्लेक्शन. लक्षात आलं? आणि जोपर्यंत ते होणार नाही तोपर्यंत त्याच्या अटेनमेंटवर फरकच पडणार नाही. देयर इज नो यूज ऑफ दिस फोर्स आर्टिक्युलेशन मॅट्रिक्स. सी दिस CO-PO mapping is the most important part of NBA, and understanding of CO-PO mapping is very important. Right? इथं blank table चालतो, but at the end of program, it is supposed to be all row and all columns is supposed to be filled. म्हणजे असं व्हायला नको की एखादा PO एकूणच येत नाही, असं नाही. Course level it is okay, but at the program level it is all PO are supposed to be addressed to PO or the activities. Now importance of feedback. At course level, course and survey is important, and teaching feedback is important. See, survey is different, it is addressed to CO, feedback is different. Teacher feedback is different. Right? Then at program level, graduate exit survey is required, alumni, parents, employer, facility feedback is also important. If I want to implement this OBE at particular this section, that also is important. Take the feedback from all stakeholders, plan first, take the feedback, analyze it, and do some corrective action. That is plan, do, check, act. OBE also implement in this particular section. What is the significance of that survey or feedbacks? So that is the OBE implementation at this particular feedback. I'm trying to design it by what is the basic logic of OBE. That criteria number 7, continuous improvement process. Right? How this OBE is linked with continuous improvement. Let us see, this is the mathematics, simple mathematics. If OT is my program attainment, CT is my course attainment, and PT is course level attainment. Okay? So what is the overall target attainment? Is nothing but what? Simple logic, simple mathematical equation in terms of input-output process. Output is my PO attainment, and what is the function? It's a function of individual PO attainment of courses. Right? म्हणजे एक PO आहे at the end of program. It is addition of what? PO attainment of all courses. So there are 3 sections, 3 groups. First group is some of the subject is fully addressed, that particular PO, moderate, and no address, that is low attainment, right? So some strong mechanism is required. Again same, if my target is greater than my attainment, your action is required for the continuous improvement. If it is less, means target is less, then enhance the target. That is a simple continuous assessment process or continuous improvement process. Continuous improvement means It is the efforts towards the betterment, right? So if you group this 40 or 30 subject into 3 sections, so there are 3 groups of subject. First group is some subjects are highly addressed, moderate and low addressing. So action required is different. बरोबर आहे? एखाद्या आजाराला जर औषध द्यायची असेल तर सगळ्यांना देऊन जमत नाही, ती महामारी म्हणतात. बरोबर की नाही? ज्याला जे इंजेक्शन द्यायचं ते द्यायचं असतं. इफ देर आर 3 सेक्शन जे जास्त मॅप होतात, म्हणजे तुम्ही लिहिलंय COPO मॅपिंग strongly addressed to my PO1, 3 level. And if some deficiency is there, that means what? There is a problem of teaching learning. Agree? I am taking the example of PO1, that is my knowledge level. And your subject is fully addressed. And still your attainment is not there. So whatever the contributing subject is there, you look at the COPO mapping of that subject. If it is highly addressed, you have to take the strong action. Moderate, okay. But if it is third level, not addressing, so minor changes are required. So that is what the continuous improvement is. Similarly, at course level is also there. Okay. Now these are some of the stakeholders' responsibility to maintain OBE, effective OBE. At course instructor, understanding of effective course content, requirement of content beyond the syllabus, CO strength, assessment tool, mapping, attainment calculation, then Bloom taxonomy, positive attitude towards the feedback, and implementation of effective plan for the betterment. These are the responsibility of course instructor and subject teacher. At model coordinator level, CO strength, assessment tool, mapping knowledge, attainment, Bloom taxonomy is also required. Master key is required. At PAC, that is Program Assessment and Quality Improvement Committee, preparation of audit report is required. Decision regarding action plan, continuous monitoring is required, and effective teaching plan and its implementation is the responsibility of PAC. At IQC at institute level, policy framing, policy implementation, academic monitoring, preparation of various forms, and institute level schedule and guideline. So at closing the loop is a main thought of OBE, means outcome-based education is an iterative process. A program is accredited once the minimum standard is reached. Process involves careful assessment and evaluation of all major components and recording of all results systematically, and appropriate changes are introduced to involve the system. This is what the closed loop system is. What is PAC and its constitution? Effective PAC members. Just a minute. दोन स्लाइड दाखवायच्या आहेत फक्त मला. दोन स्लाइड फक्त. कुठलं हे what effective PAC is. Only 2 slides are there. PAC committee. It's my own understanding. What is the structure of PAC for effective implementation? So this is what the head of that, the chairman of PAC is the head of department. These are some of the responsibility of head of department. Second most important parameter is the departmental academic coordinator, right? Then third one is department project coordinator, department exam coordinator. All members are there. Then institute and industry institute coordinator and module coordinator. These are the 6 members required in effective PAC, right? Then these are the some of the monitoring mechanism required at institute level. PAC committee, 2 meetings per semester. First semester is at the end of semester. Why? To decide the action plan, course-wise action plan. And second meeting is at the mid of semester to check. Once more I have to repeat. First meeting is at the start of semester to plan the activities based on previous attainment, right? Previous action plan. And second meeting is at the mid of semester to check the effective implementation of action plan. Second is IQAC, 1 meeting per semester is required. TAB, 1 meeting per year. Module coordinator is as per the requirement. And GFA meeting is also important to monitor the regular performance of the student. Okay? This is all about OBE and its effective implementation at program and institute level. Thanks for your patience and giving me this opportunity to talk with our faculty members on OBE. Thank you.
साफेकर सर, ऑनलाइन क्वेश्चन आन्सर्स घ्या.
Okay, madam. All participants are requested who are attending this session online mode can unmute themselves and ask questions. One by one, you can ask.
ऑफलाईन कोणाला असतील तोपर्यंत विचारून घ्या.
तुम्ही नाही विचारलं तर मग प्रॉब्लेम आहे. हां नाही PSO जनरली आता आमच्या इंजिनिअरिंगला हा प्रश्न होता. आता मी जे नासा आहे तिथे एक मीटिंग झाली होती, तिथे आम्ही डिस्कस केलं. बट ॲट फर्स्ट इयर लेवल तुझं सिलेबस कॉमन आहे का? म्हणजे तर तिथं PSO मॅप नाही. PSO इज डिपार्ट प्रोग्राम स्पेसिफिक ना. सो ॲज फार एज पॉसिबल डू नॉट मॅप दिस PSO विथ फर्स्ट इयर कोर्सेस. दॅट इज इम्पॉर्टंट. मॅप केले नाही तर चालते, पण तुमची लिंकिंग पाहिजे ना ते फर्स्ट इयर सोबत. फर्स्ट इयर वेगळं मॉड्यूल चालतं, बरोबर ना, आणि प्रोग्राम वेगळं मॉड्यूल चालतं. जर तुमची लिंकिंग असेल, काही एक्स्ट्रा ॲक्टिव्हिटी तुम्ही फर्स्ट इयरच्या मुलांना घेत असाल तर तुम्ही वापरा, इट्स नॉट अ प्रॉब्लेम. पण तुमचं टोटली वेगळं असेल, लिंकिंगच नाही, आणि PSO कसं दाखवणार? PSO स्पेसिफिक ना, त्यांना PO करू द्या. PSO नाही घेतले तरी चालतात. PSO त्यांनी नाही घ्यायला. नहीं PSO at first year level na, because it is supposed to be addressed through first year courses na. For example, mechanical engineer, design engineering. So design aspect is there in the first year, and looking at the syllabus of first year, it is very difficult to address. हो नाही, ते PSOची व्हॅल्यू किती ठेवायची आपण, ते एकदा तुम्ही OBE सेट केलं की ते तुमच्या हातात फक्त एकदाच असतं. म्हणजे मी जर आज OBE चालू केलं तर एकदाच मला चेक पॉईंट, एकच डिसिजन असतं की तुम्ही टार्गेट काय ठेवायला पाहिजे. प्रत्येक वेळा तुम्ही टार्गेट चेंज नाही करू शकत. एक मॅपिंग हे प्रत्येक वेळा बदलायचे नाही आहे. मॅपिंग एकदा फिक्स केली, सिलेबस चेंज असेल होत तर ते मॅपिंग बदलून काय अर्थ नाही ना. सिलेबस चेंज असेल होत आणि तुम्ही आज म्हणणार की मी PO5 या युनिटला करतो आणि पुढदा म्हणणार तसं कसं चालणार? तुमची कोर्स आर्टिक्युलेशन मॅट्रिक जोपर्यंत सिलेबस बदलणार नाही तोपर्यंत चेंज व्हायला नाही पाहिजे. त्याच्यासाठी इनिशियली ती चांगले थॉट द्यायला पाहिजे. त्याच्यावर दुसरं टार्गेट सेटिंग. जेव्हा OBE लावणार 3 सायकल आहे ना आपले, जेव्हा मी सायकल 1 ला सुरू करेन तेव्हा टार्गेटच प्रॉपर सेट करायला पाहिजे ॲट कोर्स लेवल अँड प्रोग्राम लेवल. जसं मी म्हटलं की CO1 मी 1.5 घेतो, CO1 to CO6 सपोज, and at program level PO1 to what is the target of PO1 to PO5, PO6 to PO12 and PSO. It is supposed to be set at initial level only. नंतर तुमच्या हातात आहे, टार्गेट सेटिंग नाही. ज्याप्रमाणे अटेंडमेंट येतील त्याप्रमाणे फक्त प्लॅन टू चेक करत जायचं. दॅट इज इफेक्टिव्ह OBE इम्प्लिमेंटेशन. अटेंडमेंट, टार्गेट रीच, increase the target, if not add the activities. That is complete OBE. प्रत्येक वेळा टार्गेट चेंज नाही करता येणार. कोर्स लेवलला तसंच आहे. तुम्ही जर तुमच्या एखाद्या सब्जेक्टला ठरवलं की 50% माय टार्गेट फॉर CO1, अटेंड झालंय वाढवा 1.6 घेते, नाही झालं तुम्ही पुढच्या वर्षी युनिट 1 वर त्या CO1 वर पुन्हा ऍक्टिव्हिटी घेते. म्हणजे मी रीच व्हायला पाहिजे त्या टार्गेटपर्यंत. टार्गेट कमी करणे इज नॉट अ सोल्युशन. दॅट इज अ थॉट ऑफ कंटिन्युअस इम्प्रुव्हमेंट. म्हणजे प्रत्येक वेळा वाढायला पाहिजे असं नाही आहे बरं का. दॅट इज अ रॉंग थॉट. म्हणजे कंटिन्युअस इम्प्रुव्हमेंट आपण म्हणतो की प्रत्येक वेळा वाढायलाच पाहिजे असं नाही आहे. एक लेवल ठेवा, सॅटिस्फॅक्शन लेवल. त्या लेवलला पोहोचलात अजून थोडी वाढवा, पोहोचलात पुन्हा वाढवा. नाही तर टार्गेट कमी नका करू, तुम्ही ऍक्टिव्हिटी वाढवा, टार्गेट कमी करायचं नाही. दॅट इज द थॉट ऑफ कंटिन्युअस इम्प्रुव्हमेंट प्रोसेस.
सापेकर सर, ऑनलाईन मध्ये क्वेश्चन्स आहेत का?
नाही आहेत मॅडम. नो क्वेश्चन इन चॅट बॉक्स ऑल्सो.
ओके सर, क्विज सांगायचं ऑनलाईन मध्ये सुद्धा.
ओके सांगतो मॅडम.
हां.
All the participants who are attending this FTP online mode requested to fill the Google quiz form, and for that link is available in the chat box for the online participants. Please fill up this Google quiz. It is a mandatory to all the online participants. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir, for your guidance on OBE. Sir has explained very well introduction of accreditation, what is OBE, implementation of OBE, administration system of effective implementation of OBE, what is POs, PSOs, COs, etc. Thanks a lot, sir.
Basically, change the subject teacher is different thought, and course content and map with the PO is different thought. So it's my suggestion, if at the initial level of OBE, if your CO and PO is addressed or you map properly, please do not change throughout the journey, because it is directly affects on attainment. So subject teacher is the action phase, so don't link it with the subject, that subject teacher. So as far as possible, CO articulation matrix is supposed to be same throughout the journey. There is no logic behind setting the target, but reasonably for CO level, 50 to 60% is a reasonable target, means 1.6 to 1.8 is a reasonable target. And at program level, PO1 to PO5, 1.5 to 1.6 means approximately 50 to 60% is good, within the range of 1.5 to 1.8. And for higher order PO, PO6 to PO12, it is 1.2 to 1.4 in a scale of 3. And PSO, it is supposed to be at higher level, that is 50-60%. Actually, there is no rule to decide the target level, but these are some of the standards you are supposed to set at program level. Okay? Madam, सांगा. It depends. Basically, what is the thought of drafting that? If your course content means, for example, the plan is 50 hours, and if you are taking the content is related with ethics more than 24% or 25%, म्हणजे समजा एक 48चा एक प्लॅन आहे आणि 24 लेक्चर्स मी इथिक्सवर बोलतो, तर जनरली हायली मॅप व्हायला पाहिजे बेस्ड ऑन युअर डिलिव्हरी. हो, नॉलेज बेसिक थिंग ना. PO1 मॅप होईल, PO2, PO3, PO4 नाही होणार, पण तिकडे एन्व्हायरमेंट सस्टेनेबिलिटी, टीम लीडर, लाईफलॉंग लर्निंग इज ऑल्सो रिक्वायर्ड. नॉन टेक्निकल लाईफलॉंग लर्निंग पण जाऊ शकतं ना. सस्टेनेबल एन्व्हायरमेंट या सगळ्या गोष्टी, पण इट इज बेसिकली युअर टीचिंग प्लॅन, कोर्स कंटेंट, मॅपिंग. हां, दोघांचे व्ह्यू म्हणजे नाही, 2 सब्जेक्ट टीचर म्हणता का तुम्ही? असं करता येत नाही. तुम्ही दोघं बसून एक करावंच लागते. जर 3 डिव्हिजन असतील तर तिघांचं वेगळं करता येत नाही, एकत्र करून एकच करावं लागते. ॲट द एंड ऑफ प्रोग्राम एकच नंबर पाहिजे. तुम्ही अंडरस्टँडिंग, त्याच्यासाठी मॉड्यूल कोऑर्डिनेटर कन्सेप्ट आहे ना. मॉड्यूल कोऑर्डिनेटर हा असा एकच माणूस आहे की जो हे सगळं बॅलन्स करू शकतो. तुम्ही डोमेन कोऑर्डिनेटर असेल तुमच्याकडे, त्याच्याकडे बसून ते एक करायला पाहिजे, वेगवेगळं नाही. या सब्जेक्ट म्हणजे एकच सब्जेक्ट डिव्हिजनला वेगळा असेल. जेव्हाही ते अटेनमेंट येईल ती एकच येईल. प्रत्येक म्हणजे 120 इंटेक असेल तर 120 कॉमनच, सगळे टूल्स कॉमन.
Thank you all. After solving quiz, you have to join at 2 p.m. sharp. Our next session will start at 2 p.m. sharp. Online and offline, both participants.
हॅलो, आता शिंदे सरांकडनं आपल्याला फीडबॅक आलेला आहे की फॅकल्टी मेंबर्स 2 तास कंटिन्युअस नाही बसू शकत का, तर रोमिंग करू नका, बाहेर जाणं येणं असं सारखं चालू ठेवू नका. त्यांनी ते आयडेंटिफाय केलं आणि सरांना ते बोलले, तर तो मेसेज मी तुम्हाला देते. तर 2 तास तरी आपण, म्हणजे मुलांना जेव्हा एक्सपेक्ट करतो की 7 तास मुलांनी आपलं ऐकलं पाहिजे, तर आपण 2 तास तरी ऐकलं पाहिजे. थँक्यू.
सुरू करायचंय का? Good afternoon, one and all. Now we will start next session. It's our great honor to have Dr. Mosmi Vanjale Madam as a speaker, having total experience more than 20 years in academics and research. Ma'am is appointed and working as Dean Quality Assurance of AISSMS IOIT. She is actively involved in many activities like implementation of quality policies, conduction of internal academic and administrative audits, conduction of faculty development programs, preparing and applying for NBA and NAC accreditation. She has been invited as a resource person to conduct NBA and NAC orientation workshops and mock visits in 20+ engineering institutes in and around Pune. She has received Elite Plus Gold certification and topper of NPTEL course on NBA accreditation and teaching learning in engineering and educational leadership. She has received Elite Plus Silver certification of NPTEL online course on effective engineering teaching practice. She has received research funding of 1.8 lakhs from BCUD of Savitribai Phule Pune University. Ma'am has also received grant of 3,000 pounds from UK India Education and Research Initiative for staff exchange. She has published more than 30 papers and journals. Also, ma'am has received AISSMS Diva Award in 2020. Now I request ma'am to start next session.
A very good afternoon to all. Thank you, madam, for the introduction. So I'm going to deliver the session on process of defining vision, mission, and program educational objectives. So these are the contents which I will be discussing today. So before starting with the process of defining vision, mission, and PEOs, let's first have a brief look at what is vision, mission, and PEO. So as we all know that vision is the aspirations of the department, where the department wants to see itself in future or maybe within 5 to 6 years. So obviously in the vision statement, the growth of the department is implied. So we are supposed to visualize what we are going to be after certain years. And it must be a realistic statement, a brief, concise statement having 1 or 2 statements. And we need to avoid a very fancy or a flowery words which will seem very infeasible while we go for the implementation and achievement. And obviously, it must come out as the result of a well-documented process, and that is what we are going to discuss in this session. Next term comes out as the mission. So as we say, we are on certain mission. So it is the steps or it is the goal for achieving the vision. So the steps we take to achieve or to reach to the vision is nothing but the mission. So it represents that how we are going to realize the vision that we have set for the department, and obviously before that we have set the vision and mission for our institute. So typically we should have mission statements in numbers as 2 to 4 mission statements. And obviously we need to see to it that the mission is always in line with the vision, and the vision and the mission of the department must be based on the vision and mission of the institute. So if we look or if we take a sample, This sample I have taken from the reference of the NPTEL course on NBA accreditation and teaching learning by Professor N.J. Rao and K. Rajnikant sir. So if we look at sample A, here we can see that the vision of the institute is stated. So the vision statement is to become a leading engineering institute by providing quality technical education and research with professional ethics. So we can see that this particular statement is quite concise, short, simple, and is focusing on providing quality technical education along with research and professional ethics. And the mission of the institute is to continually improve quality education that produces engineers having good technical capabilities with human values, to nurture a good ecosystem that encourages faculty and students to engage in meaningful research and development. Third mission statement is to strengthen industry-institute interaction, and next is to enhance educational opportunities. So if we look at this sample statement, we consider or we can find that the vision is further achieved through the mission statements, which considers the key components from the mission statement, like providing quality technical education. So if we look at the first mission statement, it is to continually improve quality education system. So the key component in the mission statement is considered in the the vision statement is considered as first mission, or is defined as the first mission statement of the institute. Second one is nurture good ecosystem to encourage meaningful research and development. So this mission statement of the institute is mapping with the research component of the vision of the institute. The third is industry-institute interface, which can be mapped with the professional ethics of the vision statement of the institute. And finally, the educational opportunities to rural and weaker section of the society. So this is an additional mission statement which is supporting to the vision of the institute. So with this example, if we look at the vision and mission statement of the department, so we can read it as to be recognized as a premier center in the field of mechanical engineering education and research that produces competent engineers. So if we compare the vision statement of the institute and vision statement of the department, which I have highlighted in yellow color, so to provide quality technical education, the department says we want to be a premier center of mechanical engineering education. So they are also talking about the quality education in mechanical engineering. They are also talking about research and competent engineers. So research is the same component which is there in the vision of the institute, and professional ethics is mapped with the competent engineers. When we say competent engineers, obviously it is professionally competent engineers, and while practicing the professional engineering, obviously the graduates are expected to follow the professional ethics. So this is how we can see that the department of is having a vision statement which is in line with the vision statement of the institute. If we look at the mission statements of the department, so the first statement reads, to impart technical education, which is in line with the continually improving quality education system. So these two statements are talking about the teaching learning process, the education system in the department and the institute. The second mission of the department reads, to create research ambience, which goes in line with the institute's mission statement as ecosystem that encourages meaningful research and development. The third mission statement is strengthen industry-institute interface, which is mapped with the third mission statement of the institute directly. And the fourth mission statement of the institute, that is serving the rural and weaker sections of the society, can be mapped with the third mission statement of the department, that is for the benefit of the society. And specifically, the institute is focusing on weaker section of the society. So if you look at these sample statements of the vision mission of the institute and of the department, we can definitely find a correlation and mapping between these two statements. So we need to remember this thing firstly, that always the vision mission statements of the department must follow the vision mission statements of the institute. So now we are going to discuss about the process of defining of vision mission statements of the department. But for the institutes who have been not yet started with this procedure, the same procedure can be followed for defining the vision mission statements of the institutes as well. The procedure of defining the statements remain same. Now the third key part that we are going to discuss is the program educational objectives. Now when we read this word, it is educational objectives, but basically it is the outcome of the program. So even though it is termed as objective, it is the very important, or we could say the first outcome of the program or the department, because these are the statements or broad statements which the graduates are expected to achieve by the end or after the 4 or 5 years of graduation. After the graduation is completed, now the students become alumni, and obviously they are engaged in their jobs or higher studies or probably own startups or entrepreneurship. So what are the abilities or skills that we expect our graduates to be exhibiting in their respective career paths after 4 or 5 years of graduation? So these are nothing but the outcomes, but they are set as the objectives, and in line with these objectives, we are supposed to define our curriculum, our program outcomes, as well as the course contents and the course outcomes. So these broad statements can be 3 to 5 in numbers. So if you are starting with the first cycle of your NBA accreditation, it is always advisable to start with 3 statements, and later in further cycles they can be increased if you are confident enough about the process and the assessment of this particular statements. And next important thing is these PEO statements must be in line and consistent with the mission of the program or the department. This is very, very important because there is a relationship between vision, mission, PEOs and program outcomes as well as course outcomes of the curriculum or a particular department. So it is very important that the PEO statements are consistent with the mission of the department, and obviously they need to be defined by following a proper documented process. So let's see some examples of the PEO, again taken from the net course, NPTEL net course reference. Now here many a times a mistake is done while defining these PEO statements. Like, how do we define the PEO statements usually? Can any participant add to this? Can you tell me an example of PEO of your program or the department? Even online participants can type in the chat box. Can you give me an example? Since this is a post-lunch session, possibility that you will feel sleepy is more, so let's have more interactions in this session. Because I guess the faculty members of some of the departments have gone through this process, so they are aware about these terms, the terminologies. Certain participants who are attending online, they must have an idea or they must have gone through this process, so they can also add. Any example? You may be having your own PEO statements of the program. Yeah. There is nothing going to be right or wrong in this. Yes, madam. Okay. Hmm. Okay. Correct. So, thank you, madam. The PEO statement starts with to provide, correct? To provide something so that students will go on for higher studies, something like that, isn't it? The conducive environment or the guidance, something, input should be provided. Now, when we talk about the PEO statements, as we have seen, what are exactly the PEO statements? We know that PEOs are exactly the outcomes that we expect our graduates to exhibit or their achievements after 4 to 5 years of graduation, right? So they are related with the skills and achievements or abilities of our graduates after 4 to 5 years. So how should be the statement? Can we do something? Can we create? Can we provide? Can we to develop, to provide, to do? Can we define them like that? What do you think? Because these are the skills, abilities or achievements of our graduates after 4 to 5 years. Means they are already into some profession, they are already doing some job or higher studies or entrepreneurship or research, anything they are doing. So what should they be exhibiting? Getting? They should be exhibiting certain achievements or skills. And that's why we usually make a mistake while defining these PEO statements, that we define them as to provide, to develop, to create. This should be avoided. We should define the statements as after graduation will, the graduates after graduation will engage in designing, manufacturing, testing, operating and maintaining systems in the field of electrical and electronics and allied engineering industries. So what we expect our graduates to do after 4 to 5 years of engineering. Are you getting? So the statement says they would be engaged or they will engage in designing, testing, manufacturing of electrical and electronics systems in the industry. So we expect our graduates to work in industries. After 4 to 5 years of graduation, they must be working in industries and they are engaged in designing, manufacturing, testing, etc. The second PEO says will solve problems of social relevance. So they are able to solve problems of social relevance by applying the knowledge which they have acquired in this program of 3 years diploma or 4 years degree engineering. So they will be able to solve the problems, or they will be solving the problems. So we are not going to provide anything so that they will solve. We have already done it. We have already set curriculum, we have the program outcomes, we have proper teaching learning methods, we have course outcomes. And through all this course outcomes and program outcomes, we have already done this, and due to all these teaching learning process, the activities, the pedagogy that we have followed throughout the 3 years course or 4 years course, students are having this ability developed. So we expect our graduates to have this ability to solve problems relevant to society. Third is work effectively as individual or a team member. So they will work in teams or individuals due to all the activities which we have conducted for them in this course. And the last one is will engage in lifelong learning, career enhancement and adapt to changing professional and societal needs. So if you look at these statements, we understand that now in PEOs, we are not supposed to provide, create or develop, right? We expect them due to what we have already done, what abilities they are going to exhibit after 4 to 5 years of graduation. Is it clear? Is there any doubt about this? So this point I want to make it clear, because through the visits which I have been conducted earlier, the mock visits or orientation sessions, this particular point I have observed that even we during our first NBA cycle had stated our PEO statements in the same fashion. But when we had our second NBA cycle and when I underwent this NPTEL course on NET, so this concept was clear, and that is how the assessment of PEOs is going to happen after 4 to 5 years of graduation. If we keep on telling to provide, to create, to develop, this cannot be assessed after 4 to 5 years. So what they are actually doing, if we ask questions based on these points which we have stated in these statements, we can definitely easily do the assessment of PEOs. Now the next important term in OBE is the program outcomes. So as we all are aware that program statements or program outcome statements are what the graduates should be able to do at the time of the graduation, or in case of diploma, what they are able to do at the end of 3 years diploma course. Now in our case, in engineering programs, there are 12 graduate attributes and they are considered as program outcomes. In case of diploma course, there are 7 program outcomes. So accordingly, you need to map all your processes, all your course outcomes with these 7 program outcomes. And they are broadly categorized as the disciplinary outcomes and the generic or professional outcomes. Now certain outcomes are disciplinary, that is belonging to the branch or the discipline or the technical part of our curriculum, and certain outcomes are generic or professional outcomes. So all these points are known to you, and this is just the list of all 12 program outcomes which we follow, and out of these 12, 7 are applicable to the diploma. Let's not go into the details of this. Now once we are familiar with this terminology of vision, mission, POs and PEOs, now why this is important in outcome-based education? Now in the first session, you are aware about outcome-based education concepts. Now let's try to map the terminology that we have discussed right now with this outcome-based education. So here, we know that the outcome-based education is a product-defined process. Product-defined process. What is the product of an education system? Students, graduates, right? Students and graduates are nothing but the products. So when we are following outcome-based education, product-defined process. So our graduates, our students will define the process, of education. So it's a student-centric process. So we are focusing on the skill development, ability development of the students, and these abilities will define the process that we follow in outcome-based education. So few years back, probably we were not worried about the skills or the attributes, behavioral attributes of our students. We were focusing on the results. We were just focusing on the results, how many students appeared for the exam and how many of are passed out. So that was just the ratio of passing. And if 100% students are passed out, we are done with our responsibility. But in outcome-based education, there is a big paradigm shift, and we see that it focuses on the skills and abilities. Like it's a improvement process, and it expects our graduates or our students, after passing the diploma, they should continue their higher education to the degree courses, or they should go into jobs, or they should start with their own entrepreneurship or startups. As well as the skills, like professional skills, like soft skills, or the communication skills, working in individual, as an individual or as a team, professional ethics, sustainability about the environmental system. All these things are required to be there in our students. This is what we expect in outcome-based education. So we focus on what our students are able to do, and that's why we say that OBE is a product-defined process. And the curriculum, instruction, and the assessment methods all are based on the exit learning outcomes, that is skills or abilities. So what you expect your students to exhibit, what should be the learning outcomes that they should carry with them after 3 years diploma course. So everything is based, curriculum, the instruction delivery and the assessment method, everything is in line with these skills and abilities or the learning outcomes after the 3 years of diploma. And all these instructions and assessments are in line with the outcomes. Now, the outcomes that are directly relevant that we have just talked about is PEOs, POs, PSOs and course outcomes. These are the directly relevant outcomes we are talking about. And we also know that the PEOs are in line with the mission of the department, which is based on the vision of the department. And obviously, as we have seen in the sample A and A2, that the vision and mission of the department are in line with the vision and mission of the institute. So, we can understand that the vision, mission, PEOs are the main pillars of outcome-based education. And if we look at this figure, which is provided by the NBA in its manual, we can see that this cone is focusing on the mission of the department, which is further extended to the vision of the department. And PEOs are based on the mission. Based on these PEOs, we have the curriculum, which is based on the outcomes, program outcomes, and the curriculum contains various courses, and every course has its course outcomes. So all these things are interrelated, and that is why defining correct vision, mission, and PEO statements are very, very important, because they will lead us towards the implementation of an effective outcome-based education. That is the significance of this. Now, one term that we need to understand is program-specific outcome. So briefly, again, they are the abilities or skills the graduates or the diploma holders need to exhibit, but they are specific to the program or the department. They are not generic, they are not uniform, they are not common, they are specifically related with the program or the department. They should be 2 or 4 in number, and they need, again, they should be defined through a well-documented process. Also, they should consider all the core courses of your department or the program, and they should highlight how your department or the program differentiates your graduate from other programs. So what is that specific ability that your students have due to your program, and they are different from the other programs. So that is specific to the program, and it should follow a particular structure, that it should start with 1 or more action verbs. The program specific outcome should start with the action verb. Few examples I have listed here: design, plan, architect, build, test, implement, etc. And the action verb should be followed by clearly identified technical objectives or objects related to your branch only. So you have to be very, very specific what you want your students to exhibit or have after 3 years of diploma course in civil engineering or electronics engineering or mechanical engineering. And if required, the conditions under which they can be achieved can be stated. So for example, if we look at this example, so if you have a civil engineering program, then you want your students to expert in designing of certain types of structures, right? And in what conditions they should sustain those design will be applicable can be mentioned in the statement itself. One thing that you should remember while defining the program specific outcomes is what not to do. So they should not be similar to program outcomes. They should not be as it is derived from the program outcomes, and the context, or they should be context reframed in the context of the program. So if you're going to use the same action verbs, but those action verbs should be reframed or resentenced with the context of your program. So for example, understand modern management and construction techniques to complete the projects within stipulated period and funds. So this is related to the project management. And second example is apply knowledge of mathematics, science, engineering fundamentals to the solution of problems of computer science and engineering. So here we are using the first program outcome keywords, knowledge of mathematics, science, engineering fundamentals. But the solutions of problems of computer science and engineering, this has been specific to the program. So reframed in the context of the program, that can be done. And they should not be written to represent electives, because electives are not being chosen by all the students in the class. So few electives are divided into the class. Few students select one elective course, few students select another elective course. So the abilities or skills, those are getting developed through one elective course. Those same abilities may not be there in the other students who have not opted for that elective course. So we have to remember that they should be derived from the core courses and not the elective courses. So this has to be remembered. So these are certain, this is an example of electronics engineering. So specify, design, prototype and test electronic systems that perform analog and digital signal processing. So this is very, very specific to electronics engineering, analog and digital signal processing. Under what conditions? Under as per the requirements, user requirements using currently available electronic components. So there is a condition specified in this. So we want our students to specify, design, prototype, test electronic systems which are analog, digital, and also the condition has been specified that use currently available electronic components. That is the condition. The third one is specify, design, test power supplies including battery management and power amplifiers using currently available components. So they have action verbs, they have the specific object, what we want our students to be able to, and in what condition they should be able to do this is also specified in this particular example. Any questions? Now let's move on to the main topic of our discussion, that is process of defining vision and mission. Now there are basically 3 steps that we need to follow. The first step is formulation, process formulation. Firstly, we need to form the process, what process we are going to follow. And then the clear description of the activities related to the process should be there. Means what? Firstly, we'll have a process. It can be written as a flow chart. Since it's a process, we can draw a flow chart for the process. And then for that process, what exact activity you're going to do for particular block in that process, that should be clear. And the text description can be supported with the graphical presentation. That is what is flow chart we can have. The second step is notification of the process to all the relevant stakeholders, all the concerned stakeholders. This is very much important terminology in outcome-based education. In the first session also you must have come across this term stakeholders. We have internal stakeholders and external stakeholders, and they play a very important role in OBE. A few years back we were not worried about what the society expects, what the industry expects, or what employers are expecting. We were just focusing on our students, whether they pass or fail. And at large, whether they go for higher studies or get a job. That came into OBE since last few years. But before that, we were just focusing whether a student is pass or fail. We were not focusing on what is parents' expectation, what industry wants, what employer thinks. We were not focusing upon. But this OBE talks about involvement of all the stakeholders. So we must notify all the stakeholders about the process of defining vision and mission, what process we are following. Then we should maintain list of the stakeholders to whom this document should be shared or should be communicated. So all the stakeholders are going to be involved. Now obviously we have number of students, teachers, parents, industries, employers, etc. So everyone may not be able to take part in this process, but we can have their representatives taking part in the process. So we should have a list of those stakeholders who will be taking part in this process, and we will communicate them this process, that we are going to follow such and such process. And then we have to maintain records of the communication, like you have sent emails to them, or you have parents groups, official parents groups, so you have shared message on the official group of the parents, or you have written emails to the industry associates or the employers that we are into the process of defining the vision and mission of our department, and this is the process that we are going to follow, and you are invited for giving the suggestions or inputs on this particular draft that we will be sharing within few days. So this kind of communication must be done with the stakeholders, and those records must be maintained. So either you have sent letters or you have sent emails or messages, all those records should be maintained. The third step is actual implementation. So this process must be implemented in a true sense and as per the documented procedure in step number 1. So in step number 1, we have formed the process, written the descriptions. So as per the descriptions that you have written, you have to implement the process. That is the third one. And obviously, the records must be maintained. So now we are aware that for any accreditation process, records and documents play a very, very important role. So whatever process we are following, now the process can vary for certain institutes. They will follow broad steps, but few steps may be different for a certain institute. No matter, but the requirement is whatever procedure you have stated in step number 1, those should be implemented in step number 3, and corresponding records must be maintained. And also, we need to show the evidences of all the processes, all the documents from step 1 to step 3 that we have implemented it appropriately. Now this is the broad outline, broader steps in the definition of vision and mission. Now the stakeholders that we are talking about, which are very, very significant for this process, are internal, external, management, governing members, governing body members, human resources, that is the teachers, faculty members, and students and staff. Students and their parents are the internal stakeholders, and the external, as we have talked about, employer, industry, alumni, funding agencies, regulatory accrediting authorities, and the society at large, right? So yes, even funding agencies who are providing us research fund, quality improvement funds, they are also our stakeholders. They also expect us to do something for the betterment of the society through the funds which we have received. And the research that we are doing through this particular funds, or the improvements in the infrastructure and resources that we are doing through these funds, they will help our students to better achieve their skills, abilities, and outcomes. And obviously the accrediting authorities and the regulatory authorities who are consistently looking after the quality improvements in the institution, they are also the beneficiary of all these processes, and society at large is getting benefited through all this. So this is the relevance that every stakeholder has in this process, like the management or governing body members. They are defining the plans for the growth of the organization. They are setting the roadmap for the growth, how they want a particular institute to grow within next 5 years, what are their perspective plans, where do they see a particular institute to reach within next 5 years. They provide us with the physical facilities, the human and financial resources, and they also formulate policies for the smooth functioning of the organization. So this is the relevance of the internal stakeholder, governing or management board members. The next stakeholder, which is faculty and support staff, they are the base of all this system. They're actually the implementers of the plans and the policies laid down by the higher authorities or the management. They are developing and implementing the growth plans, and they are responsible for generating or producing competent graduates or diploma holders from the institutes. And obviously the students are major centered stakeholder. They are the product of the institution, and they are responsible for creating the image of the institute at large in the society. The external stakeholders like employer, they employ our graduates or diploma holders, and they are making an assessment of the competency of our students, whether our students have the desired skills required for a job profile in the industry. They are assessing all these requirements as an employer. Industry is an employer as well as participant as a curriculum development and a member of curriculum development. We have department advisory boards or program assessment committees, and we have industry representatives on these boards or committees, and they are contributing or they are giving their inputs while we are developing our curriculum, or we are having certain activities in collaboration with the industry. So through these processes, both industry as well as institute are getting benefited, that the requirements of the industry are being satisfied through the value-added courses that we are conducting at the institute, and they get skilled students as their employees after completion of the course. Alumni is another important stakeholder who are able to correlate the teaching learning process that they have undergone and what are the expectations of the industry and how the curriculum can be updated or developed as per the requirements of the industries. So alumni is a very, we could say, important pillar of the bridge between the requirements of the industry and the processes that we are following in the academics. So they provide us with the appropriate requirements and inputs in our curriculum development. Funding agencies, as I have already talked about, they provide us the funds for the development of the institution. Regulatory and accrediting authorities ensure that the prescribed norms and standards are followed for the quality assurance, and society is actually the real beneficiary of all these processes that we follow. Now with this knowledge of the stakeholders, how they are relevant with the processes that we are going to follow for defining vision and mission can be seen as an outline in this way. The first step in defining vision mission is brainstorming. So we need to undergo a process of brainstorming with all the stakeholders involved to formulate first version of the vision and mission statements. So probably at the first time when you are preparing your first draft, it may not be possible to include all the stakeholders. So you can invite representatives of the stakeholders for the brainstorming session, but you can make all the teachers to participate in this session. Few of the student representatives can participate in this process. Representatives of parents, alumni, management, industry, employer can participate. But this process must take place. The first step of brainstorming must take place. Now, obviously, when we are conducting this brainstorming session, we must keep in mind the vision and mission of the institute. So we have to keep in the center the vision and mission of the institute. Based on that, the brainstorming should take place, and then we will have the first draft of vision mission statements of the department. After the first draft is prepared, the validation by experts from the academia and industry is expected. So to ensure that the vision and mission statements of the department are reasonable, realizable, manageable, feasible, and also consistent with the vision mission statement of the institute, we need a validation from the experts from academia and industry. So again, in this process, you can either share the first draft with the members or the representatives of the stakeholders who are part of your departmentary advisory board or assessment committee, or if you have industry institute interaction cell, then you can send these drafts to the concerned industries or employers, to few parents, and seek their views and suggestions for the validation. Now, before finalizing the draft version, obviously we need multiple iterations. So sometimes the finalization of the statements may take place in few iterations, or sometimes it may require multiple iterations to be done. And in every iteration, we have to follow the same process. So when there are suggestions from some of the stakeholders, modify the draft version. Again, have discussion, internal discussion, brainstorming on the modified version. Again, share it with the industry and academia experts for the validation before we arrive at the final version. And once it is finalized, obviously there are intermediate next steps that we need to disseminate, we need to create awareness among the stakeholders, etc. But once these statements are framed and finalized, we need to review them after every 5 to 6 years to ensure the quality and relevance of the processes that we are following are in line with these vision and mission statements. So after every 5-6 years, there should be a revision process for these statements, and the same process of redefining or revising the statements must be followed. So with this outline of the process of defining vision and mission, now this flowchart or the diagram shows us that we need to consider the institute vision and mission. So here the institute vision and mission is kept at the center. Also we consider the inputs from the various stakeholders, so industry, alumni, students, faculty, and also consider the MBA graduate attributes, the program outcomes are specified. We need to collect the views from all these, consider the institute vision mission, collect the views or inputs from all the stakeholders or their representatives. Have a brainstorming session again on these views. You may have a program assessment committee. So the program assessment committee is basically a committee wherein the members are of the institute itself or the department itself. So you can have interdepartment members in this program assessment committee. This may not necessarily have external stakeholders. Program assessment committee can be an internal committee, but a department advisory board, or probably you may have some another name for this particular board, academic advisory committee or academic assessment committee. Every institute may have a different name for this, but they have representatives of all the stakeholders, internal as well as external. So firstly, when we prepare a draft, we can share the draft with the stakeholders, get their inputs, have a brainstorming, have a summarization of the views. The program assessment committee is responsible for this process. After the summarization of inputs or suggestions have been done, the statements can be discussed in the department advisory board meeting, wherein the experts from industry and academics are the members, and they can suggest their views on the draft of the statements which we have prepared. And after that, if there are any suggestions, again the views can be discussed in the program assessment committee Before finalization, 2-3 iterations are done, and then the department vision and mission statements get finalized. A similar process we have to follow for defining program educational objectives. But as we have said that PEOs are in line with the mission statement of the department. So obviously, after defining and finalizing vision mission of the department, the process of finalizing or defining PEOs should be done. So based on the mission statements of the department, we are supposed to define the PEOs. Now again here, we are keeping in mind the institute and department vision and mission, graduate attributes, inputs from stakeholders. Same process will be followed. Only difference here is now we have the vision mission statements of department finalized, and they will be acting as the major reference for defining program educational objectives. Why this is so? Because we are expected to maintain the consistency between the PEOs with the mission of the department. So if we define the statements simultaneously with the mission statements, if we define the PEOs simultaneously with the mission statements, we need to keep into mind the major components or the focus points in our mission statements that we need to keep into mind. Or it is always better to have the mission statements already defined and then go for first draft of PEOs, so that you can take the key components from the mission statements, and then based or around these key components of the mission statements, the PEOs can be defined, so that we are ensuring the consistency between the PEOs and the mission statements. So this kind of table we are supposed to prepare. This is called as mission and PEO matrix. So here we are supposed to have mission statements and PEO statements listed and key components or key elements of mission statements, because we know that mission statements are large in numbers, 2 to 4 statements are there. So mapping PEO statements with the mission statements, large or broad mission statements, would become difficult. But we want to focus on the key components, key elements of the mission. So it is easier to take out the key elements or the key components from the mission statements, number them or designate them as M1, M2, M3, Mn. For example, if you have 3 mission statements, if your mission statement 1 has 2 major components like quality education and research. So these are 2 key components of your mission statements. So they can be designated as M1 and M2. M1 is your quality education, M2 is your research component. Your second mission statement has industry institute interaction as the key component. So your M3, mission component 3, M3 will be industry institute interaction. Your third PEO statement focuses on solving problems of society. So problem solving is your 4th mission component. Society problem solving is your 4th mission component. M4 will be problem solving for the society. So these 3 mission statements will be divided into 4 mission components. And then we will check if our PEO statements are consistent with these mission components or not. And then also we are supposed to write the strength of mapping or correlation between the PEOs and the mission components. Now as we know that the strength of mapping is on the scale of 3, that 1 indicates slight or low mapping, 2 indicates moderate or medium mapping, and 3 indicates substantial, high or strong mapping. So as we do a COPO mapping on the basis of 1, 2 or 3 level or correlation, similarly we are supposed to establish or indicate the correlation between PEOs and the mission components. Now it is written that if there is no correlation, a dash should be put. Can a condition be there where a PEO statement is not mapping with any of the mission component? Can it be a case, or should it be a situation? It should map with either at least one of the component. It should map with at least one of the component. If we find that any of the PEO statement is not mapping with any of the mission components, then there is mistake in defining or framing of the PEO statements, right? Because they are in line with each other, they are consistent with each other, and if we find that if any of the PEO statement is not at all mapping with any of the mission components, then that is indication of a wrong definition of PEO. So please remember that. So as I have said that after mapping PEO statements with the mission components, we need to write the strength of mapping or strength of correlation. Now the strength of correlation can be 1, 2 or 3. Now just writing the strength of correlation is not sufficient. We need to justify. We need to justify why we say that the strength is substantial, moderate or slight or low. So that justification should be there. So this kind of table we can prepare, like we write the PEO statements, 2, 3 or 4, 5, whatever you have. Then you write the mission components. With certain mission components it will be mapping. Then write the strength of mapping, and then in the last column write the justification. Now let's have an example for this. Now I would like you to read this and tell me, do you agree with this strength of mapping? The first row has PEO1 statement, and I have shown one mission component, and the strength of mapping is 3. And the second statement is written with one mission component mapping, and the strength of mapping is 2. So you read and try to understand whether this is justifiable. With this strength of mapping, is it justifiable? Yes. Any answers? Agreed? Not agreed? Why not? Why yes? How many of you are agreed? Not agreed? There is no third option. So, remaining all of you should raise your hands for not agreed. Isn't
Hello.
it? Yes?
Hello.
Yes. Hello? Yes, anyone want to contribute? Please go ahead. Now, what can be the thumb rule for this mapping? We do COPO mapping, isn't it? We follow certain rule for the strength of mapping. So similarly, we need to follow certain rule. It cannot be a hard and fast rule. Certain thumb rule we need to follow. What it can be? If we look at PEO statement 1, contribute to the global, ethical, societal and ecological needs expected as a practicing engineering professionals. This is the PEO statement. So graduates will be able to contribute. This is the whole statement. And it is mapped with the mission component, responsible citizen with ethical, social and ecological awareness. So all the major components, global, ethical, societal, ecological needs are included in this mission component. Almost all the major highlights of this PEO statement are included. So they are directly relevant with each other and hence they map at a stronger level. Now how we can justify this? How this is going to happen? Because we provide a learning environment in our department or college, and the program curriculum is designed in such a way, or we have the program curriculum such a way that we prepare the students to be responsible citizens with ethical, societal and ecological awareness, like that. What we do at our institute is we also write down the list of the activities that we do for this component of the mission or this component of the PEO, because we are doing a lot of activities. So which particular activities that we are doing are relevant with this particular mission component and PEO component? If we prepare a list of all those components, then it will be easier for us to focus on those activities and maintain the documents for justifying our answer here in this table. And the second statement is be successful professionals with proven technical expertise. So the components are successful professionals with proven technical expertise committed to solve real life problems of society. So here two parts are there: technical professional expertise and solving real life problems of the society. But the mission component is learning environment favorable for acquiring professional competency. So the mission component is focusing on professional competency. It does not talk about solving real life problems of the society. If both components would have been included, then it would have been a more relevant and stronger mapping, since we could say 50% of mapping, two major components, technical expertise or competency and solving societal problems, and here there is only one component. So 1 out of 2 are mapping with each other, so the strength of mapping is 2. And then the learning environment or the activities will help students to acquire professional competency, and this empowers graduates to become successful professionals with technical competency. So here we need not talk about anything related to society or the problems of society, solving of the problems of society, because no activities are there in the department which will do that. Are you getting? Because the mission component does not have that, but the PEO component has it. So you need to reframe. If you want to have a stronger mapping, you need to reframe your PEO statement so that it maps correctly with your mission statement likewise. So when you do this kind of exercise, finding out the key components of the mission statements and mapping them with the PEO statements, this will help you to define your PEO statements in a better way, and then all your activities will be in line with these PEO statements, which will lead to the achievement of mission and then further to the vision of the department. Now once we have done with the process of definition, defining vision, mission, PEOs, they are in line, they are consistent. Now the real responsibility comes ahead. Dissemination and creating awareness among the stakeholders. Now firstly, to disseminate this among the stakeholders, they must be available to the stakeholders. So we need to have the availability of these statements on various locations like institute website, department notice board, HOD cabin, faculty rooms, laboratories, classrooms, libraries, seminar hall, in the course file of individual teacher, laboratory records and email signatures of the faculty members. So this is an indicative list. You can obviously add to this list, but at least they must be available, the statements must be available at these different locations. We can have institute magazine, department magazine, brochures, newsletters. We can add to this list further. Few indicative points I have listed here. Also, the brochures or the flyers of various events that we are having, we can have these vision mission statements included in that also. And now just by displaying the statements at these locations would not be sufficient. There should be a process to ensure that they have been disseminated. So what this process can be? So we need to have a list of internal and external stakeholders which we had prepared at the time of defining them. Then we need to decide the frequency of dissemination. So with students, if your stakeholders are students, then how frequently you will be disseminating or circulating, distributing these statements among the students. So what we do is, for example, we have the course outcome statements. At the start of every semester, we discuss the course outcome statements with the students. Also, at the start of every new chapter or unit or contents, we discuss the outcome statements. But we fail to discuss the vision, mission and PEO statements frequently with our students, and there is where the problem starts. Because when the committee visits, the committee in the meetings with the stakeholders checks whether the stakeholders are aware about the vision, mission and PEO statements of the department or not. So, along with this process of discussing COs and POs, we need to also decide the frequency of discussing or disseminating it with the stakeholders. So we need to discuss or disseminate this frequently with the students. So we have at the start of every semester, in one of the courses, they should be discussed before the course outcomes. We have first year student orientations or induction programs. They should be discussed in these meetings. Then we have direct second year admitted students orientation induction program. They should be discussed with them. At the end of semester or at the start of semester, in the students meetings, they should be discussed. We need to discuss these statements in the parents meeting, department advisory board meetings, or if we have any event between industry and institute, HOD is going to give a presentation about the department, then obviously it should start with the vision and missions and PEO statements. So wherever it is possible, we need to disseminate these statements frequently, because obviously we are the major stakeholders who are involved in this process and following them, reading them again and again. But the other stakeholders are not directly being part of this process. Like students are there, but they lack awareness. But the other stakeholders, external stakeholders like parents, industry, employer, they are not in touch with this process. So we need to decide the frequency after which we are going to discuss and disseminate about these statements with them. Then obviously records of these meetings. So mostly all the institutes have parent-teachers meeting once in a semester, once in a year at least. So in these meetings they should be discussed, and then the minutes of meeting should be maintained where the point should be mentioned, noted that the head of the department or program has disseminated or discussed vision, mission and PEO statements with the parents. So that must be recorded. So this kind of the records must be maintained for showing the process of dissemination. Now many times we do the process of dissemination, but we lack maintaining the records or mentioning that it has been disseminated through this particular program or meeting. It happens like that. So we have to consciously or we have to meticulously remember that this should be noted, this should be mentioned in the records whichever are being maintained. And then obviously we maintain the meeting attendance, the signature of the attendees are maintained. So through this documentation, we show that we are disseminating these statements with our stakeholders. And very importantly, as I said, that awareness among the stakeholders is getting checked through the meetings at the time of the visit of the NBA committee in the department. So through the meeting, they are going to ask questions based on this to the students, to the parents, to the employers. So a frequent orientation is required, otherwise a remark that the process of defining is followed, but awareness among the stakeholders is not visible. This remark is always going to be there, and we need to take care about this remark at the start itself when we start process of applying for accreditation. That is, this should go for 3 years before the visit of the committee. So with this points been covered, any doubt about the process of defining? So let me recap the major points. Firstly, the process should be clear. It must be documented in the form of flowchart or descriptions of the flowchart. Then the process must be informed or intimated to the relevant stakeholders, and then the process must be implemented. And all the documents, since the process formation till the implementation, all the records must be maintained. Suppose you require 3 iterations for the finalization of the statement, then all the documents of the 3 iterations must be maintained. Even when you invite certain industry or academia experts specifically for this particular finalization meeting or taking their inputs on this, then those documents must be maintained, those special meeting records must be maintained separately. But sequence wise, as per the process of formulation or formation, all the documents must be maintained. And as I said, we follow all these processes, but we lack in preparation of the documents. And that is why we score less marks in this particular criteria number 1 as per NBA. When we self-assess, we take full marks for this criteria, because we consider that we have done all this thing, we have followed the process, we have defined them. But when the committee visits, they will check the documents, and if we fail to produce the relevant documents, then obviously we are going to lose the marks in NBA criteria. So the first criteria itself states vision, mission and program educational objective. The first point is state the mission and vision of the institute and department, and see here they are checking whether your institute and department statement are consistent or not. And that is why they are asking for both the statements in the same point. And they will be verified through the meetings, through the activities, documents during the visit by the experts. So mission and vision, what they are, we have written. So we need to have availability of the statements. We need to maintain the records of all the processes that we have followed for making them available. They must be appropriate. Appropriate in the sense measurable, feasible, realizable, recognizable, right? We read the sentences like world-class excellence in education. So what is world-class? That must be defined. And through the SWOT analysis we understand, are we able to provide world-class excellence in whatever, education, pedagogy, research, anything that we are writing in front of that. So writing such kind of words probably may not make them realizable, not be feasible through the activities that we are following here. So the statements must be realistic, they must be real, they must be achievable. So that is appropriateness. And consistency, when we talk about consistency, it is the consistency between the vision mission statements of the department and the institute. They must be consistent, in line. Now the next point is program educational objectives. So they can be 3 or 5 in numbers. We need to list these PEOs that they are available. Third point is indicate where and how vision, mission and PEOs are published and disseminated among stakeholders. So they should cover 3 points. Adequacy in respect of publication and dissemination. So I had shown the list of places where it can be displayed. Few more points which we added: brochure, newsletter, flyers, etc. Out of these 15 locations or places where they can be published or for dissemination, if you have done only at 4 or 5 places, then that won't be adequacy, because there are 10 more positions, 10 more locations where they can be displayed easily. So adequacy in respect of publication and dissemination is required. Now when you are doing this, certain positions are visible to the committee experts when they are taking a round through the department, but certain positions are not visible. Like we have these statements displayed in the entrance of the department, that is easily visible. HOD cabin, visible. Classroom, laboratories, visible. But there are certain places where we have displayed these statements, but they are not visible to the committee experts. What are such places? Emails. Do we send emails to the stakeholders? We send emails to the stakeholders, alumni, industries, employers, and through that also we can disseminate these statements, or we send official emails to certain stakeholders for certain events, and our email signature consists of the vision mission statements, right? So these are the places where they are displayed, but they are not directly visible to the committee experts. So you should have a printed evidence of these dissemination locations where you have done it. We have brochures, we have newsletters, which are not available openly in the department, so they must be produced to the experts. Show the positions where you have displayed them. Magazines are there, they can be shown. You have social media groups on WhatsApp, or you have LinkedIn professional networks. So there also you can disseminate this particular statements. And then proof, screenshots of sharing these statements on the social media must be maintained in the files of criteria 1 in charge and should be produced at the time of the visit. Then the process of dissemination. Now I find that there is little confusion between publishing and process of dissemination. Is there any difference? Yes, publishing is different and process of dissemination is different. Publishing is just you are displaying it at various locations, right? But you need to do certain processes, follow certain processes, like just we discussed, that conduct meetings of different stakeholders, orientation, inductions of newly joined students, as well as newly recruited teachers. They must also be aware about this now, because certain stakeholders join later. We have done this process of defining vision, mission, PEOs in last academic year. First year students will join in this year, new students will join in this year, few new teachers will join in this year. So again the process should be repeated for dissemination. So orientation, induction of first year students, second year students, newly recruited teachers. So this orientation program, meetings of parents of newly joined students, in that meeting again it should be discussed and disseminated. So please don't get confused between displaying for dissemination and conducting certain events or meetings for dissemination. So when you talk about the process of dissemination through alumni meet, through parents meet, so your meeting records should have this point on agenda. Dissemination of vision, mission and PEOs, and head of the program head of alumni association, or class teacher in parents meeting discussed vision, mission and PEOs of the department. If this process is not there, you can start following this process in the next immediate semester. And the extent of awareness, so all through this we consider that we have displayed, we have disseminated, stakeholders are aware. No, stakeholders are not aware. So what to do for awareness among the stakeholders? Some creative things like involve students to create the creatives for dissemination or preparing the posters for disseminating vision, mission, PEOs. Ask students to get involved in that. Have a small contest for preparing a poster for dissemination of this. So for that they will get involved. Or have a quiz. Have a quiz. Or when a teacher is talking about an activity, when a teacher is talking about an activity in the class or an industrial visit or some workshop in the class, teacher should first explain the objectives and outcomes of that event and its relevance with the vision, mission and PEOs of the department. I think this is what we miss usually. We don't relate all these things with each other. So we should be able to relate why we are doing this activity, why a lecture of an expert on professional ethics has been organized. Because we want our graduates to be to follow professional ethics when they will work in their jobs. We want it to happen. So for that I have done some activity right now, and when my students are going to attend it, before that I must create an awareness that this activity is being conducted because we want you to know the professional ethics which you will be following in your job after your graduation. So such kind of awareness creation must take place. So probably we miss that. We don't relate our activities with these PEOs and then mission and then vision statements. So if we keep on talking about these statements in our day-to-day activities, during the lectures, a course outcome is mapped with a program outcome. Program outcome is in line with the educational objective, mission and vision. So not in every lecture, but at least where there is a strong relation, we can talk about it, right? So sometimes we want to strengthen industry-institute interaction. Some institutes have this as PEO. Majority, I guess, many of the institutes would have. And we have the industry visits regularly being conducted. But do we tell that this industrial visit will help us to strengthen the institute interaction with the industry, and we will come to know about the requirements of the industries, skills required from our students by the industry, environment of the industry, which will help us for strengthening interaction as well as placements if further it is going to help. So this is how we need to brief, or we pre-activity briefing. We can call it as a pre-activity briefing, wherein we can talk about the relationship between all these things. So that can be done. So please remember to create awareness. Just by disseminating and printing it on the files and journals will not be sufficient. We need to talk about it frequently with the students, and really the experts expect that the student should be aware about these sentences. Because recently in the last year we had our NBA cycle, and since previous to that students were online, new students had been never to the college, they have not seen the statements displayed anywhere, they were unaware about all these statements. So they could not talk about it. So if every teacher would have talked about it in the lectures, maybe online lectures, so probably they could have registered something. So disseminating, displaying is not dissemination. Talking about it, pre-briefing about the activities, the outcomes is essential. Next is the process for defining vision and mission of the department and PEOs of the program. So we have talked in detail about this process. So this process has to be described and should be supported with the graphical representation for both vision, mission and PEOs. And then establish consistency So I have clearly showed the table format that should be maintained, strength of mapping and its justification should be clear. So a matrix preparation as well as consistency and justification both are required to get the full marks. And this is all about the criteria 1 in NBA and everything that I could deliver in this session. If any doubts are there, any questions are there, we can discuss. I have not mentioned the marks for the criteria. It is your assignment to identify how much marks are given for which sub-criteria. So for that at least you will read the criteria.
Safekar sir.
हा मॅडम.
सर ऑनलाईन मध्ये आहेत का विचारा ना क्वेरीज.
हो मी क्वेश्चन टाकलाय अजून तरी ऑनलाईन मध्ये चॅट बॉक्स मध्ये क्वेश्चन आहे.
एनीवन वॉन्ट्स टू आस्क एनी क्वेश्चन.
Online participants are requested, if anyone have the question, please unmute themselves and ask the question. Online participants, please unmute and ask the question. One question in chat box.
So let me first answer this question. What committee expects about criteria 1 for the compliance visit? So obviously in the compliance visit they focus on the remarks which had been given in the previous cycle. So definitely you have to work if the remark is like that, the statements are quite generic, they are not focused, or the participation of the stakeholders is not visible. Such kind of remarks you might have received. So in that case, depending upon your process of defining vision mission, when you had done it, if it is already done before 5-6 years, you can show the revision process. So through the revision process, you can indicate the involvement of stakeholders if something was missing in the previous cycle. And after knowing this process correctly, if it is possible that you can revise it for the compliance visit, then you can go through it and accordingly you can show that improvements have been done and we have studied the process correctly and accordingly we have implemented it. That will be an added thing. I didn't get. Okay. 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 That should not be just feedback taken. Action on that feedback must be shown. So that you can show. Yeah. Yes, sir. Can you please read the question in the chat box?
Madam, one question in chat box.
Yes.
It is accepted to start the vision and mission sentence with 2.
Can you read it?
Accepted to start the vision and mission sentence with 2.
With 2. Okay.
Yes.
Vision statement can be started with 2, but the framing should not be to provide, to create, to develop in this way. To be well known, to be pioneer, to be one of the excellent institutes or the programs offering. Likewise, we can start the sentences. But the vision statement should not be to provide, because it is the future that you see, foresee, where you see your department after 5-6 years. So after 5-6 years, you don't want yourself to see, to provide, to create, to develop. You want to be something, to be well known for providing so and so quality education in civil engineering with focus on research and professional ethics. This can be a vision statement where you want to be well known. तुम्ही 5-6 वर्षांनी वेल नोन झालेले असले पाहिजे, असायचं आहे, तुम्हाला ते हवंय. सो त्यावेळेला टू प्रोव्हाइड, टू क्रिएट, टू डेव्हलप वॉन्ट बी करेक्ट and relevant. So it should not have action verbs to provide, to create, to develop. What you want to be. I want to be the topper of the university. To be the topper of the university. To be the first accredited polytechnic program in the region. Something like that. Don't use the action verbs in vision statements. But mission statements can start with to and the action verbs, because those are the steps taken to the achievement towards the vision. So to achieve, to be well known, what you are going to do. So we are going to provide an environment wherein students will learn or something. We will develop certain methods, pedagogical initiatives, which will help students to better understand some courses or something like that. So mission statements can start with to and action verbs, but vision statement can start with to, but must not or necessarily have the action verbs. Any other question?
Any question from online participants? No question, ma'am.
Thank you, madam, for your guidance on what is vision, mission, POs. What is the significance of all these in outcome-based education? What are the steps or processes in defining vision and mission, POs? And awareness of vision and mission in stakeholders. Thank you, ma'am.
Hello, all the participants should submit the quiz within half an hour, that is at till 4 o'clock for both the sessions. Okay. The quiz has been sent for session 2 also, so submit it by 4 o'clock.
For online participants, link is available in chat box.
Now today's sessions are over. Tomorrow the session will start at 11 o'clock and it will be on COPO mapping. So the tomorrow sessions are from 11 to 1. Then 1 to 1:30 you will have a break, and 1:30 to 3:30 will be the session 4. 3:30 will be the valedictory function. Okay, so online participant can leave, they will submit the quiz till 4 o'clock. Thank you. केलं का म्यूट? म्यूट केलं? ऑनलाईनला म्यूट केलंय का? हॅलो.